What is going on, everybody? It is episode 580 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and as you know, the headline says it all. It's April 1st today, and we have a couple of rough announcements. It's not going to be easy, so just bear with me. As you can see, Mary is not here. She said on Twitter that she was sick. She was sick, but the truth is what's going on right now is the show is on its final day. It's kind of hard to do that with the Superchats going there and everything, but the show has been canceled, and that is because I was told that Tim does not like April Fool's jokes, and oddly enough, it became like April Foolsception, where then the show was canceled because I wanted to do an April Fool's joke, and then of course Mary was trolling him last week on Twitter. He said, that's enough. I just bought a new skate park. We're doing the skate park. We're not going to do this. And you know what? I don't know. I think the only thing to do going forward is that I'm going to have to start my own GoFundMe, kind of like Not Gay Jared.
Come on.
Well, I'm going to have to do that, and we're going to figure it out. It's weird because to me, I kind of spend most of my time thinking about like what is life like after this show, right? Like,
you better figure it out soon.
Well, that's kind of the problem, right? Is like, so I'm kind of always in that mode, right? Like, what job next? What job are you going to do after that? I'm horrible at putting together resumes and putting together anything like that. That's kind of my kryptonite. But it's something that we're going to have to think about now. And I guess that's what it's going to be for today. And joining me, I've got two friends here with me. To my left, would you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Wesley. Brett, I think that they always have openings at Amazon.
I could do that. I could do that. Well, maybe Steven Crowder's hiring.
Maybe.
Okay.
Wesley, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
You doing
Happy
good?
to be here.
And to my right,
so obviously I'm lying.
You can tell it's April Fool's because Brett called me a friend. Hi, my name's Dane and I'm pregnant.
It's like Brett is a terrible actor. How do they know I'm acting? They can't possibly know that, right? Guys, it is April 1st, and we got a bunch of stuff to get in today, so April Fool's on all of you guys. First things first, hopefully it's not an April Fool's joke, is that Lizzo has announced that she is quitting music.
Here's hoping.
We can only be so lucky.
Well, no, here's the thing. I start preparing for like the April Fool's news stories like a week in advance, right? So when I start seeing these stories, what I think is like they're going to announce it on the 27th, and then on the 1st they're going to be like April Fool's.
It's like Christmas music. Like it'll just keep getting a little progressively further out.
So we're going to talk about that. We're going to get into that. We're also going to talk about this crazy, I don't even know how to phrase it. It was a mishgas going around on Twitter about The Rock.
Mishgas?
So The Rock, there's this video from like 2 years ago, 2022, in which The Rock let his daughters put makeup on him. Like, you know, he's a dad. He's a girl dad, as much as I hate that term. And now people are going all the way down the conspiracy and culture war rabbit hole because nobody knows how to turn it off anymore these days. So we're going to talk about that because I thought that the discourse around it was absolutely ridiculous. Also, you remember when everybody on the internet was saying that Margot Robbie was mid? We argued about that. We're like, if you think Margot Robbie is mid, you probably have porn brain. And Dane would probably make that same argument when people say the same about Brie Larson.
Oh, I hate anyone that calls hot chicks mid.
So now there was this thread going around calling Scarlett Johansson mid, which is weird because she was like, you know, the closest thing Hollywood had to a sex symbol the last 20 years.
Like the audacity.
Yes, the absolute audacity.
The absolute.
Also, guys, we're gonna talk about Elon Musk trolling Disney and some of these other very, very good April Fool's stories that came out today. Look, the internet is a horrible place to be on April 1st. You don't want to do it. But just in case you don't buy into it, remember, all Super Chats today go to my fund to sue Tim. Just like Jared sued Steven Crowder. But before we get started, guys, hit the like button on this video. Subscribe to this channel, please. If you have not done so already, at least for the last episode, you should do that. Remember that all Super Chats, $20 and over, we will interrupt the discussion. We will read those Super Chats right then and there, and then we will do our best to get back on topic, at least as best we can. And remember to share this video with your friends. The more people that come in here and hang out, the more people that find the show, so they too can see the last episode, apparently. Do I commit to the bit?
The first of many last episodes.
Yes, the first of many. It's the last episode of the day. That's what it is. Now I got to make sure my YouTube.
I mean, not technically. This is kind of the first one, then's Gamer Mates, and then IRL. So it's really starting the lineup. if you think about it.
Yeah. So and
I'm
guys,
just gonna be cupcake contrarian today because it's April Fool's, so we'll just be opposites.
to the people saying Mary comes out or we leave, you're gonna have to leave today, bro, because Mary is out sick. She's not feeling well, just like I was not feeling well last Monday. So such is life. All right, guys, if you guys are ready, we will just go ahead and get started. Are you ready, Wesley?
I'm ready.
Dane.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and get started. It's like the first thing on the screen is literally the pensive emoji because I had to look up the emoji to find it to put on the screen for the title. All right, big news. Oppenheimer dropped a bomb in Japan over the weekend because they actually got released. It made $2.6 million over there. I don't know what I expected it to make, but I guess that's about right.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like actually that's pretty crazy. Like $2.6 million worth of how many people do you think that translates to?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
Like how many
I would need
people
to
in
do some
Japan
math.
were willing to go and watch the Oppenheimer movie?
How awkward must it be seeing that movie in Japan?
Yeah, really awkward. That's
But
what I
they
think.
turned out in droves. So apparently not that awkward.
I mean, 2 million is not a whole lot of money, but like it's still any amount of money in Japan is insane. We got a $20 super chat here from Tech. They finally showed back up here. It says, since it's the last ever show, I guess this will be my last ever super chat. Also, I just unsubscribed. Take care. Thank you.
Okay.
Roughly 216,000 people.
How many?
216,000 people, roughly.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not that many.
It's like that's a lot. That's
216,000 people?
I mean, it's a lot to show up to a movie that glamorizes the fact that you were nuked by another country.
I mean, I guess. They like Christopher Nolan, I guess.
Yeah. Well, who
I
doesn't?
mean, I wonder if this area got nuked, if we would have the inclination to watch a movie about it.
I mean,
I think so.
I would go watch it's because like okay, so what happened was by the way, we got a $50 super chat here from Francisco Sanchez Jr. that I missed when I was doing my opening monologue. It says R.I.P. PCC CCP PIR.
Got it.
Okay, so thank you. No, so what I was thinking is like, so when the memes were coming out about Barbenheimer, you know, everybody was making Japan thought that they were all really, really disrespectful and said, how would you feel if they made a bunch of memes about 9/11? And we're all like, that wouldn't bother me at all. Like, I just wouldn't. Like, I just wouldn't care if you made...
How would you feel if every day? Like,
Yeah, I think I've had my hand in a few of them.
9% of the memes I send Dane are 9/11 memes.
They really are. And black people dancing.
Yes.
It's like both. Or sometimes, anyway.
Yeah. So, you know, it is what it is, but 200, how many was it, 200,000 people?
Yeah.
That's still a lot of people to
That's a
come
lot
out
of
and see.
people.
I mean, it probably is more that they like Christopher Nolan more than they...
How many people are in Japan?
I don't know. A
A lot of people.
Okay. Well,
If there's any Godzilla vs. Kong fans out here, it did gangbusters over the weekend. It made $194 million.
125 million.
125 million people. Godzilla, thank you.
already?
I should have put a somber sound.
Oh, The Last Dances, everyone.
If we get to 5 crisis parties, we can keep our jobs. Okay. So $194 million, which makes it the biggest opening weekend of the year. It surpasses Dune and all the other movies, which proves that a lot of people are still willing to just go watch digital slop on screen if they find that digital slop to be inoffensive.
It's funny, we were just talking to Aaron and he was talking about how much he hated this movie.
What did you hate about it?
Everything.
Yeah, he said there was nothing positive about it.
Which means I probably would like it.
Yeah.
You
Like
probably.
what I've come to learn is like I don't base my my decision on whether to go see a movie on like the reviews of just anybody. It has to be on somebody I either usually really agree with or really disagree with. So that way you just use that as a baseline, right? Like if I tend to agree with you a lot, it's probably okay. Now, if I disagree with you about just about everything, then it's probably going to be the opposite. To me, it will be the opposite of whatever you say it is. I have a friend who's a really big Godzilla fan, or like just a really big Godzilla fan in general. I don't think he really cares all that much about King Kong. And he was ridiculously excited about Godzilla -1 and how it turned out and everything like that. He went and saw this. He goes, "Look, it's not Godzilla -1, but it's still fun if you go to the movies and all you're looking for is kind of a CGI slop fest." And I think they said Godzilla's screen time is only about 8 minutes.
Oh.
In the
That's
movie.
crazy.
He's got like I was looking at like the timeline breakdown of like the amount of time these characters spend on screen, and he spends usually no more than 8 to 12 minutes per movie because it costs a fortune to do that. So
What's the point?
The IP. I mean, I'm guessing a lot of it has to do with keeping the IP in the brand, so they continue to make.
No, what I mean,
movies.
what's the point of the movie? Just watching a bunch of Japanese people running and screaming?
Well, it's not taking place in Japan, but yeah.
Aren't they usually?
The Japanese ones
Yeah.
are, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
But so just take that what you will, go and see it, or if you enjoyed Dune, go see Dune again, I guess, because it's past $600 million at the box office this weekend.
The only movie that is out right now that I have any interest in is that Late Night with the Devil. I think I'm going to give that a shot.
You gonna give it a shot?
Yeah.
Did you see all the controversy going around
the
when
AI
with
stuff.
all the AI images and stuff like that?
Who cares?
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
I saw the dog movie
Oh, yeah? The
with Mark Wahlberg.
one?
Yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah, it's about a pupper.
Yeah. That's usually pretty good.
I
Yeah.
feel
Does
like
it
dog
live?
movies don't.
It's all it takes.
Yeah.
Like dog
As long
movies
as they
don't
live.
don't miss very often, as long as the dog lives.
Yeah.
If the dog
Oh, I don't want to
out,
spoil
yeah.
it, but
Yep.
it lives.
There was a movie like 2 years ago with Channing Tatum literally called Dog.
Yeah.
And when we got out, I was like, that was the most inoffensive. It probably didn't need to go to theaters, but I'm guessing that like in the grand scheme of things, like when you go to a theater and you have to spend all that money to go and be at the theater, it costs a lot to get the ticket, to get the popcorn, to get all the other stuff. If you can leave them feeling good about a dog movie, you're probably not going to get a lot of people that are really upset about it. And I thought that movie was fine. There was also some really funny like mini dunking on like weirdos from Portland. Like they make fun of like people in Portland in that movie, which I thought was really, really funny. So
That is fun.
all right, so go ahead and check out the movie if you do feel so. They're trying to kill us, ladies and gentlemen. Krispy Kreme collabs with Oreo for solar eclipse donuts, but not for long. Well, that makes sense because the solar eclipse doesn't go on forever. I know that they're trying to kill us because just recently we were talking about how Krispy Kreme is being introduced to McDonald's
In 2025?
in 2025.
Oh.
And like the top post about it just said millions will die. but it's not just that. It's so just that. But they also have these flavored water, like these Starburst flavored waters, and I'm convinced that the water companies are out to kill us because it literally tastes just like a Starburst in liquid form, and I just don't believe that this thing has no sugar, no calories. It's likely got an artificial sweetener that's literally strangling your heart, as you drink it.
What a combo, right? McDonald's and Krispy Kreme.
Yeah.
Who would have thought it? But it says
As soon as you can get Krispy Kreme as a bun,
yes.
let's talk.
That was like one of the what's it called when they do the burger with the donut on either side? We did that on like an episode of Castle like before you were.
Oh, I don't know. I'm
Guys
into it.
in the chat, what's it called when you have the Krispy Kreme donut as the bun for the burger? That type of
disgusts
burger
me.
has a name. And it was disgusting, and I refused to eat it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would eat it.
Yeah.
I would do it.
Luther Burger. Yes,
Luther.
that's what it's called.
Why Luther?
I have no idea, and I don't want to know. Thank you guys for letting me know, because I didn't remember what the hell that thing was called. I just remember it being really, really gross. That's what I
I want to know. Could someone tweet at me and explain it to me?
So here it is. On Monday, April 8th, a total solar eclipse will cast a shadow over parts of the U.S., and fast food brands are joining in on the momentous event. Krispy Kreme is the latest to release a product to commemorate the event, a total eclipse donut with Oreo. Like, how far in advance did they have to plan this?
I don't know.
Just two marketing execs had to get together, because I'm seeing a lot more of that now, where people are just fusing brands together to sell you just GMO and seed oil filled slop,
Yep.
which personally I'm fine with, but a lot of people on here probably aren't. It says popular food blogger Mark Devo revealed the new collab on his Instagram account. I love the idea that you get to be like a food blogger and then you get instant access to all of the new stuff that's coming out.
Yep,
Right?
he's in the know.
He is. So that's some good advertising there. So be on the lookout. It looks like it's only available April 5th through the 8th.
Ah,
So
3
we should
days
get some
only.
here.
Yeah.
Noted.
I want some now.
Yep.
Somebody should do that for us.
I mean, this does seem like something that we would walk in and it would just be here,
Probably.
doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You walk in
So
like, oh, okay.
when's
this
the
is thing.
eclipse?
The 5th?
The
No, the 8th. The 8th.
8th.
Yeah.
So it's an eclipse.
Was that next Monday?
Plus, it's the day they're gonna spin the whatever thing, the CERN.
Yep. And fire rockets named after demons.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure nothing will go
Is
wrong.
it possible that CERN could just like fix the timeline by accident?
Yeah, but at
That's
this
what I was
point,
wondering.
like,
How do you fix
it's
this?
like, is it fixing it if you do, like, or is it like Marvel where it's like, oh, look at all the horrible things that happened after we fixed it? It's like, is it really fixing it at that point?
do we all just become progressives?
Yeah, it's just good luck.
So is it possible that with the next introduction, it's the Large Hadron Collider,
Yep.
like that we'll just go back to normal?
What is normal? Like, what is it?
But will we have to forget the memories that we've made?
No. Here's the thing. It ends up being worse because like a lot of people think like the world is like worse than it ever was and whatnot. But I was looking back when we did the video on like the war on Christmas, and I was like reading these kind of lists of like all of the things that like Rush Limbaugh and all of these people used to argue about back in the day on like talk radio. It's just the same thing we do now. It really proves to you that nothing's changed. It's just that you found your way to this culture war, as lame as that is.
I don't think you'll find that a lot has changed. Actually.
I feel like no matter how much things change, it doesn't really change all that much. Things kind of stay the same, at least for me.
Okay.
Feels that way.
Yeah, I will say that nobody was calling like Scarlett Johansson mid before.
Yeah, that's wild.
You probably knew somebody who would have said that at a party.
Somebody who would say that.
Said that.
That's like the guy that doesn't like chocolate. Yeah. They can't stop talking about it.
Hates
how
the
much they hate
Beatles.
chocolate.
Hate that guy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The Taylor Swift's boyfriend, Travis Kelce, is receiving backlash for deleting his post about Jesus taking one for the team. Okay, whoever went searching for... here's the problem. This tweet is from 2010, and whoever went searching through however many thousands of tweets to find this is the actual one that needs help. I don't find the comment all that offensive. Wesley, do you find that... You're religious. Do you find this offensive?
It's not the words, but if it's being said in a dismissive kind of asshole-ish way, I can understand being like, but no, and show me the lie. First of all,
there's a $20 one here from Shane H. Wilder. Says it's like the Cinnamon Toast Crunch in Trix Loaded, where you put vanilla cream in the cereal. It looks gross and like diabetes in a box. Who the f is creaming in the cereal? Yes, that is another thing that I saw the other day. I'm like, they're out to kill us. They really are. They're out to get us. Yep. It's it's like somehow the food, which has always kind of been unhealthy here in the U.S., is getting more and more unhealthy. And one of the things that I've been talking about lately, which nobody really agreed with me on, but it was kind of just a thought that I have. It's what I call my Roman Empire, which is like every time I go to the grocery store, I feel like I see more and more like single packaged microwavable meals that are not designed to be eaten by a group of people. And it's like it's
or
almost
people
like,
in general. Not designed.
I mean,
to
but
be
that's not really the point that I was making in this. But you're not wrong. But it's like the point is like people have just kind of they're giving up on having families. Yep. They're giving up on being in relationships where you actually make food together. And the outcome for that, it's kind of like the comparison I always make. Remember when the stripper was like, I can predict when a recession is coming by when people are spending money at the strip club. It's like you go to the grocery store and it kind of mirrors the culture around you. If you're not looking at a whole lot of stuff for families and you're looking at a whole lot of stuff that's just designed to be eaten by one person, it's indicative of the culture because these companies don't make stuff based on how they want the culture to go. They make the stuff based on what the actual customer base wants.
Supply and demand.
Yeah. So that's my Roman Empire. Every time I go to the store, that's what
I don't get the metaphor. Why is it your Roman Empire?
because I think about it all the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like it comes to my mind randomly because I just think about it at random intervals. Think about that on a regular basis. So I don't find this offensive, but I'm not religious.
And they're both about the fall of society. So
there you go. Well, no, kind of true, right? Yeah, that's actually fairly accurate.
I mean, I think that this like historic L is gonna like die with millennial women.
How so?
I don't know. Like when I talk to Gen Z girls, they're not as they didn't all fall for feminist propaganda as much. I mean, the ones that I know, it may be.
Wait, what do you mean?
Maybe I'm in an echo chamber, but like pretty much every Gen Z person that I've met is pretty like they were born with some invulnerability to propaganda that boomers just eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
What do you mean? How so? Just because of the amount of media they're around?
Yeah. I think they're less gullible for traditional media, yet insanely gullible for non-traditional media.
Well, that's interesting because then the boomers would be very gullible for traditional media,
Yeah.
but extremely skeptical of anything that comes out of non-traditional media.
So they're like polar opposites.
So everybody is gullible in their own way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's depressing too.
yeah, but at the same time, I've been watching non-traditional media slowly become traditional media.
How so?
Just like I mean, we're seeing it, not naming names, but we're seeing companies be like, oh, this is all a giant money grab. You know, like I'm going to like former traditional media people are starting to be hired at these traditional media places and just
Like
seeing
X
it.
hiring or wanting to hire Don Lemon or something like that?
Yes, or like Cuomo being at PBD.
Or like Piers Morgan, like all his panels is like YouTubers.
But he's still considered. Oh yeah, because he's not. He's bringing on non-traditional media to have to be the people on the show.
Yeah.
But he prides himself as being like this non-traditional voice when he's just the definition of tradition.
Yeah, I don't know
in the
how.
sense of the imagination. Yeah, in a lot of ways. And I tend to find myself very jaded by the whole process. I think it's just because like working here, you see how much of it is like a lot of people come through every day, and everyone, whether they're selling a book, whether they're, they've got their own production going on. I get it, right? You've got to promote your stuff.
Yep.
But I was kind of talking the other day, and I made a post on Instagram. I didn't even post it on Twitter. I was like, look, I'm not out here to change the culture or to shift the culture. I just want to give you something mildly fun to watch for a couple of hours a day. And if you find what we do mildly entertaining a couple of times a week, now I'm not even saying we got to bat 1,000. I'm saying like we do 5 shows, you find 1 or 2 of them as an interesting way to pass the time. That's enough for me. I don't need it to be more than that.
I'm definitely a 10-year garden kind of person as well. I used to be, an insane shit lib and thought that I could change the world.
Yeah.
But I think just by being yourself and being true to your convictions, it's kind of contagious.
Yeah.
So, at least from what I see, like in the comments, in the chats, and the tweets that we all get, they're all like relatively positive, and I just think it's people vibing with that. And even if it's a couple of individuals vibing with that message, I think it's all the more productive than what progressives have tried to achieve, was just like you're pretending that you're doing something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't want to
on a greater scale.
I don't want to pretend. It's there's a skating company that used to exist called Ghost, and they had a shirt that said "Quitters never lose." There you go. Quitters never lose, and
It's so funny.
those that don't try never lose either.
Quitters never lose.
A quitter never loses, right? So, it is what it is. If you guys tune in a couple of times a week and we give you something to laugh about, that's fine. Because we were talking today, I was talking with someone on Twitter. They posted the Shakira like dunked on Barbie.
Oh, I saw you.
And I just posted, I said like you like Shakira because she dunked on Barbie. I like Shakira because she didn't pay her taxes. We're not the same. Point being that somebody said like we're supposed to like Shakira now, right? That's what you do. And they're right. Like most people in the space, they just go wherever the wind blows. They'll like whoever agrees with them. It's like, appreciate the people who say something mildly sane. Disagree with them when they say something you disagree with or that's insane, and worship absolutely nobody. Even the people in this space that you really, really like. Nobody. Because that's just going to be a huge letdown. It always is.
Yeah.
It always is. So, and Travis Kelce was also, it's so funny because there was also people talking about him having a dad bod and Taylor Swift being fat last week.
What?
Yeah, well, it's the off season, guys. It's the off season. All right. Speaking of cursed videos, watch this video. Don't say I didn't warn you when I said cursed.
Today I'm going to be trying a chocolate wabbit for Easter, even though I don't believe in the Easter. I'm the Easter bunny. I'm the Easter bunny. I'm the Easter bunny. I'm the Easter bunny. I'm the Easter. Today.
How do you find this? Every time, dude. There's so many areas of the internet. Like my wife's area of the internet is women gossiping and cleaning stuff.
Well, this is what I mean.
And she watches that.
This is what I mean when I say that, like, when everybody talks about things as if everybody has this shared experience. Now, you don't.
Yeah.
Like, we all work at the same place, and for the most part, probably have a lot of similar views, and we still inhabit like wildly different corners of the internet. So we don't really live in a world where a shared reality is even a thing anymore.
I was just in a meeting with Wesley, and he was making some like pop culture references, and I had to tell him like, dude, every single one that you make, I have no idea what it is. Like zero. I don't know the actors. I don't know the movie. I don't know.
Me and Wesley do that too. Yeah, it happens. So yes, that was just. I always
don't know what that was.
I have no idea what it was.
Yeah.
It was terrifying though, and it made sense because yesterday was Easter. All right, I want your opinions on this, Dane.
Oh, this is so awesome.
Vladimir Putin has ordered the Russian government to look into developing video game consoles, both stationary and portable. This comes following Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony halting sales in the country. Now that happened like 2 years ago, right? As soon as the sanctions came down. Because I remember this because the first thing that he did after they got sanctioned by everyone, he goes, pirate. He legalized piracy in the country.
He did.
Yeah.
So, my first thing to say is that this is based, and second is that what's it gonna be, the Russia box?
Yeah. Our box.
And what would be the impetus to do this? Would it be to quell, dissent
To
in
keep
Russia?
Western, well, I mean, if he approved pirating, right, that means that people are getting games, but Russia has a pretty big stranglehold over like the content that's seen there, right? So,
I wouldn't know.
Right? So the issue would be like if he wants to keep people, it's kind of like there was this great meme going around today. It was a big picture of Kim Jong-un with this picture like on a huge billboard being driven around the town. It says, when you take a great selfie, but you've banned the internet in your country.
I wonder if Russia has their like Russian station or Russian box console.
Probably.
And then what if they make a really good game? I wonder if it'd be banned here.
It would. Oh yeah, it wouldn't get through here. I mean, people would probably mod
They would get it.
and pirate it.
See, I find this surprising just because I thought his position would be like, good. I don't want you to have video games anyway.
That's what I would think. Yeah.
Yeah, go cut wood. Like go do something useful. But apparently not.
I just thought it was interesting. So there's a fairly well-known skater from Russia, right? And I thought it was really interesting when Russia and Ukraine first happened, watching what was going on there, because he has a very strong internet presence, and he had to start using like what do you call it? He'd like mask his IP.
Oh, okay.
Like to be able to post
With
and
VPN.
everything. Yeah, it's use VPNs and mask his IP to get content out and stuff like that. And I was happy to see that most of the people in the space didn't just blindly dislike this dude because he was from Russia, which is what I expect the very least out of humanity. Yep. So I expect when the world is telling you Russia bad, that everyone's going to start hating on this dude. I was pleasantly surprised to see that wasn't the case.
Yeah, I think.
But these are like the consequences of living in a world now where everything is connected.
I think people have wised up. It's like maybe not Russia bad, but the government. You know what I mean? Not saying like Russia in particular, but governments.
A lot of people can't distinguish the difference, though. I mean, remember what people were saying about when we were criticizing. Oh, can we talk about COVID? Yeah, I have no. When people were criticizing the Chinese government, and then people were being upset because they were assuming that you meant the people of China. When nobody's saying that, they're saying this is what they're criticizing the government for. But they could make their own video game systems, and that would actually be really, really interesting to see how a lot of these countries would probably have a lot more unbridled creativity because they'd have less to work with, and they'd have to kind of rely on themselves rather than relying on these big. There's so much going on in video games right now that we don't talk about here because this just isn't a video game channel. But everything going on in the West right now, whether it's talking about Sweet Baby Inc. or what's going on with Black Girl Gamers and all of those things, it's like there's so much distraction in all of these industries that the hardest thing for me to imagine is how anything gets done at all. But if you strip the operation down to just your coders and your developers, and you're just doing it for the people of your country, I bet you some really creative ideas end up coming from something like that.
It's funny that you mentioned that because my favorite podcast is Resident Arc on YouTube, and it's basically like a video game book club.
Cool.
And they were talking about that they both of them rubbed shoulders and worked for the industry, and they were talking about how little they read gaming news, and I think it's because the gaming world is kind of a vacuum of the real world, where that when you're reading news, there's gonna be some political inclination and propaganda, etc., and like the gaming sphere is completely the same. And they were basically. Why
do you think that? Why do you think it makes its way in there?
Well, because the activists,
I mean, I know technically I know the answer. It's right. Higher to do this stuff.
Yeah,
and
it's
stuff like that.
It's just that. Wow.
What's interesting is I think a lot of it, because it's the same in movies and television, right? Like when I watch an old movie or an old television show and I see some sort of political bend to the writing, I actually have a lot more leeway to it now because news was just not as plentiful back then, which means that they had to actually care about it, right? So I would rather watch a movie that has politics in it from somebody who actually cares about it rather than somebody who just got into it because armchair expert, now their phone feeds them that information 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Back in the day, you had to actually care and it had to actually inform your writing, which means that they were also probably more discerning and more willing to actually incorporate it in a way that was creative because it wasn't all that there was. It wasn't all they read all day long every day. But with modern, journalism, whether it's gaming, movies, and television, there is a political bend to just about every one of these newspapers.
Right.
One of the things that came out recently that I was actually really appreciative of was the Hollywood Reporter did a write-up on Gina Carano that, for the most part, stayed apolitical. There was a couple of jabs in there, but it wasn't nearly as bad as something like that could have been. And props to her for being willing to do the interview because she puts herself at risk by doing that, by taking any mainstream outlet for somebody like that. And the sad fact is that shouldn't be the case. You should not have to worry about going to a mainstream outlet and getting a fair interview. But if they can't even do it within gaming, how the hell do they expect to do it within movies, television, and all these other platforms, which are just as big, right? What's a Russian game they should make?
My first instinct is that they would make
Their own
a Call of Duty where they're the good guys.
their own version of Duke Nukem.
Maybe
Maybe
they gotta
that'd be
make something
awesome.
where it's like escape the bear in your neighborhood. Like all the videos you see. It's like, oh shit, there's a bear.
And he's just roaming around.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen those videos, right? Where it'll be like somebody walking down the street and then a bear just comes out.
But to finish the point I was trying to say, basically they came to the conclusion that they were so much happier and when they stopped listening to gaming news because gaming news was anything but.
Yeah.
Like they would never talk about gaming.
Only the social implications of the game.
Basically.
Which never actually comes to pass anyways, because that's not actually why people buy games. What was that you that I was talking about recently with somebody talking about like, who was it? Talking about like people who read reviews for games or actually like pay attention to who wins awards for games like that. Like, does anybody actually buy? Does anybody actually buy games for winning an award?
Absolutely not.
Like nobody's buying comics because they win Eisners.
Also, it's funny that you mentioned reviews because reviews is also like a very contentious thing because a game just came out that's very critically acclaimed by the fans, but some guy in IGN. It's called Dragon's Dogma 2.
Okay, yeah.
Some guy in IGN gave it a 30 out of 100, and everyone's like, what? And so basically this guy, he's becoming famous for being a contrarian and normally IGN is famous for giving everything a 9. Everything is like, well, it's because it was found out back in like 2010 that like AAA developers like Ubisoft, they give some companies the like a copy of their games in advance so they would have their review post launch.
Okay.
With the condition that you can't rate it anything less than X,
Which is insane.
It is, yeah,
And corrupt.
That's why everything is always a 9.
Yeah. And that bums me out because it would be one thing if this was like an individual, but these are sites that are claiming to be user advocates and somebody that's supposed to be there. Like the whole point of something like that to exist is to inform you, is to supposedly inform you, the consumer, like, yes, it's safe to buy this game. It's a 9. Most of the time with movie reviews, for instance, these days, outside of like the really, really hyper polarizing stuff like Dave Chappelle, you're still pretty well off looking at just look at all the reviews and get the general score for it, right? So right now, okay, I'll tell you why. Because when people go, if you're going to a movie that you have no interest in, most people these days who are writing reviews for consumers, if you're already going to see the movie, you're predisposed to liking it anyways. At least that's what it seemed like to me. Most of the Disney movies that have come out recently have had higher audience scores than critic scores because if you still are, letting Disney punch you in the face repeatedly and get back up to go then see the next movie, you're already predisposed to lying to yourself about whether it's a good movie or not. Lying to yourself, of course, being a generalized definition, doesn't mean that they don't like it, but they can cope.
Yep.
And like it and give it a high review, whereas the aggregated score is usually closer to what the actual quality of it is right now. So right now, Godzilla vs. Kong rated like a 93 from the fans and like a 53 or something from the critics. So is it a 53? I don't know. But if you like Godzilla and Kong, you're likely to rate it higher. Mm-hmm. And that's just a product of being part of IP. That if you're predisposed to liking this stuff, it's going to get a higher score.
And also the one advantage that games have is there's such things as like YouTube and Twitch. So I don't necessarily have to depend on a review. I can go watch someone play it and be like, oh, I think I'd like that, and then buy it.
I'm sure a lot of people do that anyways, especially the new generation.
Yeah, especially because, you know, reviews aren't reliable.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Let's see here, guys. What else do we have? Oh, yeah, I saw this. If you don't know, Gypsy Rose Blanchard broke up with her husband. Or her fiance, right? So recently, I've seen some fantastic photoshops of both Kate Middleton and Gypsy Rose Blanchard mysteriously out on dates with Pete Davidson.
No way.
Yeah, he just can't keep getting away with it.
Yeah, can't.
I mean, he can apparently.
So, we'll have to wait and see. Perhaps they're dating. All right. What do you think about? I want to ask you about this because do you know who Zooey Deschanel is?
Yes.
Okay, you know who Zooey Deschanel.
Yeah.
She's got a famous dad.
Yeah.
Mom's an actress.
Yep.
And right now she's not a fan of being called a Nepo baby.
Yep.
What do you think?
I think.
Well, here's what she said. She says, "My father is a cinematographer. No one is getting jobs because of that."
Amongst the best cinematographers.
Yep.
I will say.
Really?
Passion of the Christ.
Oh wow.
Braveheart.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
and her sister is an actress as well,
Yes,
Emily Deschanel. So the whole family's in show business.
I mean, she's really hot.
Yes.
And she created like the Manic Pixie Dream Girl. So
she's certainly our generation's version of it. There was some before that, but no, who's calling of this? Because I have a list of names for you to be upset about suddenly.
Okay.
Benedict Cumberbatch. Everybody, almost everybody.
Wait, what do you mean Benedict Cumberbatch?
His parents are both famous actors.
Okay. But he's the most famous of them now?
Yeah. Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. Everybody is, for the most part, unless you're like Chris Evans, you know?
I tend to take the contrarian take in this. I like to see Nepo babies succeed and actually prove to be as good as
we
their
just
parents.
talked, not the last time I was on, but recently we talked about some actor. It was Bill Pullman's son.
Yeah.
And and him getting the Nepo accusations. Dude, this is Hollywood. Even friggin' Carrie Fisher's parents are famous.
It's a big club and you're not in it. The most important thing
it just
you
makes
can do is know
sense
someone.
too. It just makes sense that you're I'm around this my whole life. I guess I'll do it. It makes sense. If somebody's this is your son and he's going to direct the next whatever, that's kind of weird. Brandon Cronenberg's a great director. Of course he's going to direct. His dad's David Cronenberg. This is going to happen. If you're really well, I don't really like Zooey Deschanel because her dad made Braveheart.
And most people don't know that anyways.
Yeah.
Well, and what they're criticizing is what she's saying, and I don't agree with her here. She's saying nobody's getting jobs off that. No,
that's not
who
true.
he knows behind the scenes absolutely
100%.
matters. You're telling me that in all his years of directing, he can't call up the people he's worked with and say, at least look at my daughter for an audition.
But that doesn't
That's
make you a star.
disingenuous. No, it doesn't. But it's disingenuous to pretend like it doesn't have an effect on it.
I will say
You
one
have
thing.
to back it up.
Yeah.
This industry is the industry where being a nepotism hire is the most harmless as well. Because, for example, in finance, if you're a nepotism hire and then you're suddenly running a company that you have no business running, then, a lot of bad things can happen.
Yeah.
But here is you see a shitty movie, you'll survive.
Yeah. And to be fair, in that case, a lot of people who hire them do so knowing that maybe it's not the best performance, but it gives me a contact for future projects and stuff like that. So it's just a business decision that you have to weigh.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there are way more, to Dane's point, I'm sure there's a whole lot of famous people's kids who are doing not front-facing work and doing a bad job at it. Mm-hmm. And they're just they're going to work in casting for the next 25 years, or they're going to work in production on some level that they're not qualified to do, but because they're such and such's daughter or son, they're going to stay there.
I always
nobody will ever know.
appreciated that Emilio Estevez didn't go under the Sheen name. Right?
Yeah.
Given that Charlie Sheen and Martin Sheen were as successful as they were as well. I just maybe that's just because Mighty Ducks was made in Minnesota, but stuff like that. I don't know. These things don't bother me because this is just how that industry is. It is a very incestuous industry as far as hiring. Who goes from production to production. The best thing you can do is know the right people. And that's actually true in most industries. You're better off knowing someone than being the best person at your job. And that rubs a lot of people the wrong way because it's a skill set. It's just a schmoozy skill set that a lot of people look down on.
Yeah, but even if you are such and such's son or daughter, if you haven't got it.
Yeah, the Rust Armorer. The Rust Armorer is a fantastic example of where you don't want the nepotism hire.
Yeah, but she's very likable. She's a great singer. And, you know, I mean, despite the fact that she is a nepotism hire, like, she does it well.
But, like, maybe the first time, but after that, when you have the new girl, it's like that show doesn't work without her.
Yeah, she was the it girl for a long while.
Yeah, so it's like, well, sure, it stands to reason that somebody who is the child of somebody who's extremely talented will be extremely talented. Like, it stands to reason.
And I always kind of, and I know this is kind of lame, but I always feel kind of bad for them because they're always going to have to wonder, right? There is kind of a gift in making it on your own and not having, because I don't know. Now, in today's day and age, I think people are so narcissistic, they probably don't wonder whether they would have made it on their own or not. But I think back in the day, if what you really cared about was whether you were good at your job or not, if merit actually mattered to you, but you still had the luxury of using the contacts of your parents, there's always going to be like a little part of your brain that's going to have a hard time, you know, can I make it on my own?
I mean,
or you'd be like, this really expensive cheese tastes good. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. I got paid.
Yeah.
I think they can wonder if they would have made it without the context, so that's viable. But I don't think she has to wonder if she's good or not because she's good.
Yeah.
Right?
Like I said, I'm enjoying watching John David Washington try and like be as good as he's never going to be Denzel Washington, but he can try.
I mean, Denzel's insanely overrated, so
I disagree.
Who cares?
Love Denzel. I like John David Washington too, but they're just very different.
Yeah.
I would banish you if this was a 4-person show. I would banish you, but it's not a 4-person show.
Safe for today.
John David Washington, right next to Wyatt Russell, is a very interesting.
Or Scott Eastwood.
Scott Eastman?
Yeah.
Or Scott Eastwood.
Scott Eastwood. Yeah. Scott Eastwood is kind of one of those people where I feel like he came around at a time where...
The wrong time for him.
The wrong time. But also, like, well, because they were trying to make Jai Courtney a thing.
Yep.
And I refuse to call him Jay, even if it's pronounced Jay. I think it's... I don't know which one it is. I'm not, he like, okay, so there's this actor, and from like 2012 to 2016, Hollywood really wanted you to like this dude. And he's just not.
What's his name?
Jai Courtney.
Jai Courtney, whatever. He played Captain Boomerang in the DC films, and he was in like one of the Jack Reacher movies. He was in one of the Terminator movies.
Yeah.
One of the Terminator movies.
Kyle Reese.
Yes, he's Kyle Reese in, was that Salvation? Genesis. He's not that good of an actor.
Yeah.
Okay?
He's really great as Captain Boomerang.
Because he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
And he's playing a dick.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like Scott Eastwood would have been the better choice of an actor to try and make a thing at that time.
Yeah.
Right?
He has a little of that like James Badgedale generic white guy thing, but you know.
He's kind of made for those like DVD bin action movies, right? Yeah. All right. He doesn't have his father's panache.
I have no idea.
Have you seen like he's still Clint is still directing, and he's like 91, and there's like these like shots of him on set where he's like directing this thing, just looks like he's gonna keel over at any moment.
That's been true for over a decade.
Yeah, yeah.
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, still directing, still out there, and it's crazy. So we need him and James Woods to make one movie before it all comes to an end. All right, one more thing here. This was interesting to me, and I kind of have a personal stake in it. It says, Steve-O, from Jackass, declined to go on Bill Maher because Steve-O's been sober for like 16 years, and he asked Bill Maher, because Bill Maher like always smokes weed on his show because he's kind of a tool. And the point being that he's like, could you do like one episode without smoking weed, just so I don't have to be around it? And Bill Maher said no.
Okay. Rude.
I just thought that was lame.
Yeah, it is lame.
Yeah, it's pretty lame.
Yeah. Like, okay. So on one hand,
how will people know how cool I am if I don't do this?
Yes, for one episode, right? So
no, but I don't even know why he would say no. Like, clearly the person comes to you like forthright is like, hey, I struggled with this and it would kind of set me back if you did, and he finds smoking marijuana like so necessary that he'd be like, no.
We didn't even get into Chet Hanks during the Nepo discussion.
Oh no, I mean, because he's a talent.
He's clearly surpassing his dad. It's true.
In my eyes, he surpasses that. His brother.
All right, what would you guys like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
Cringe.
Cringe?
Yes, always cringe first.
All right, beware. That's a woman twerking on a duck. What the fuck is this? Seriously.
It's like severely distressed.
Yeah.
It's like, please back off.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. Yeah. There's like all these videos that are just like, when you see them now, you're just like, really? Does this really need to be a thing? Oh, this is the one of the chick with the Cybertruck where she shoots the hole in the or where she tries to dent the Cybertruck. Oh. So yes, don't ever twerk on a duck.
No,
it's not a good idea.
No.
All right,
leave animals alone.
Seems seems like the most reasonable outcome of all of this. All right, cue to the day. We got a bunch of them here. First things first from Dane Font.
Who?
That's right.
Never heard of her.
Says my fearsome guard dog.
Yay.
What's your fearsome guard dog's name?
Nutmeg.
Nutmeg. Perfect name. All right.
Toxic to dogs.
Wesley added a photo.
Yeah. Look at him hooping.
Dublin and Tucker.
Wait, is that an actual?
No.
That was Photoshopped.
It's an emoji.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But it looks like he crossed him over. So.
How long ago was that photo taken?
2 Fridays ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I saw you guys out there. I'm always like on my way back upstairs, and I'm like, looks like people are outside having fun, and then I hang my head sadly and have to go back upstairs. It's very, very depressing.
Big dog.
Yep, basically. Let's do one more here. This is from Weekend Josh. Says, stretch those toes. This is Howie.
Oh my god, it looked like Bucko for a second.
It does look like Bucko.
I've also been there's like a PCC Pets that's like an at PCC Pets that's about adoption that they then sometimes use the hashtag PCC Pets. So they get mixed up. So I've had to like go through all of them to make sure I'm not putting in one of these random adopted pets in the show. So, you know.
That's funny.
Let's do one more here. This is from Devin. It says, here's Baxter, a customer's dog. He was fixated on the cheese my coworker was eating. Don't worry, the cheese tax was paid. Well, you shouldn't have to pay any taxes.
No, to the dog.
Oh, the dog got some of the cheese. That's good then. Yes, you should have to pay the taxes to the dog. Perfect. All right.
Have you never seen the cheese tax video?
No.
Oh my god.
No.
See, we navigate completely different parts of the internet.
Different parts of the internet. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started then, shall we? Now that we're 47 minutes into the show, ladies and gentlemen. So a big announcement came out on Friday from Lizzo, who says that she is quitting the music industry. She cites haters and people complaining about her, saying that it's just not worth it anymore. I thought, given today's message, I was like, did April Fools come early? Because that's what it felt like to me. It felt like one of these April Fools stories that you see sometimes. Thoughts on Lizzo leaving the music industry, guys?
I'll believe it when I see it.
Think so?
Yeah.
Yep.
There's no way.
When I see stuff like this, I'm always like, is this just some type of promotion for
100%.
Another album, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
when does the announcement of the quote unquote first final album come out?
So this is what she said. I'm getting tired of putting up with being dragged by everyone in my life and on the internet. All I wanted is to make music and make people happy and help the world be a little bit better than how I found it, but I'm starting to feel like the world doesn't want me in it. I'm constantly up against lies being told about me for clout and views, being the butt of the joke every single time because of how I look, my character being picked apart by people who don't know me and disrespecting my name. I didn't sign up for this. I quit.
I just don't want to see you gyrating.
I think that video's
screen.
Still playing, Brett.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Like your voice is lovely. Just stop wearing insanely revealing clothes and gyrating.
Yeah. When I see stuff like this, the first thing that always comes to mind to me is just like, look, one of the things you have to accept is like if you're going to be like a front-facing personality and you're going to choose, look, there's a lot of money and there's a lot of adulation that comes from choosing that career. If you can be one of those few lucky people who manages to really break into the mainstream and get famous, but with that comes a whole lot of discontent as well. I don't think that is such a weird, like when she says I didn't sign up for this, I'm like, actually that's exactly what you signed up for. If you didn't want that, you could have been a background vocalist, you could have just played flute, you could have done any number of things. A producer of some sort, but choosing that job, it's kind of like on a smaller scale. Like, look, I always say to everybody, it's like, look, I would never want to be like a front-facing person with a super large platform. Like every time I end up, like I do IRL sometimes, and I when I'm done, I'm just like, I don't know. I just can't, right? Like I don't want to have to, and that's just because me personally, I love my job, but one of the things you have to do is like, look, you're putting your opinions out there for everyone to judge, and your appearance, what you say, all, the things that you talk about, and people are going to be unkind. That's going to be something that happens. One of the things that I don't get is that we live in a world where I just assumed that once you reach a certain age, pragmatism kind of finds you, and you accept that, look, it's not ideal, but this is the career path I chose. Now I understand that we're kind of in a time where victimhood is a form of currency, but she's like still going through her court case right now where she's being shown to allegedly have treated her coworkers and the people under her really, really badly. Like fat shamed her own workers. Like, yes.
The audacity.
Yeah,
and physically abusing them.
Yes. On top of that, and not in like sexual stuff too, like taking your employees to a strip club in Amsterdam where they're like launching bananas out of vaginas. Look, that's female privilege if you can get away with that in this day and age, right? And identity-based, like identity politics-based marketing in general is already divisive, so you're going to get pushback anyways.
To give the devil her due, in fairness.
Okay.
So, the reason why people are discontent with her is because of the obvious symbolism of her. She is and no offense to her, like a pawn by the music entertainment industry to try to normalize and exemplify a very unhealthy and undesirable behavior and lifestyle. And it's all under the guise of her talent, which she is talented.
Yep.
She has a great voice and some of her songs are very catchy. However, people are mean. And people don't like to be gaslit, and when they discover that they're gaslit, they become irate, and she can be like, hey, I just want to sing, I have a great voice.
You can do that on your own.
No, but sure, and I understand the desire to be the best in your field and want to be, very rich and famous and successful. But what she needs to understand, which I'm sure she already does, is that she is being used to propagate a message, and it's a message that's not true. It's clinically untrue, medically, scientifically, and we're just sick of being beaten over the head with it. And you're just the poster person for this. And it's sad, but
And what's annoying is like for all of those comments, there's also 10,000 comments saying like you look great in this and that, and there's all sorts of support too. You kind of have to learn to either focus on just the stuff that's positive and go about your job, or grow a thicker skin to deal with the fact that people are going to have these negative things to say about you. And it's not just in music. I mean, that stuff's everywhere. You go to Target now, like there's nothing less attractive than like the pictures they use at Target now.
Yep. I'm so sick of it. I'm sick of looking at fugly people.
And it is gaslighting.
It is.
I still wonder how much of that is like a gendered issue. Like I don't notice it. Like when I look at when you go to through the clothes sections, like there's way more pictures of women than there are of men, of course, because the men's clothing section is just smaller. But the men are not necessarily like the most traditionally handsome either. But they're still closer to that than what they do in the women's aisles, right?
They're still models.
Yeah.
Here's the issue I have. So. Sometimes my wife tells me like, oh, can you help me pick out an outfit? I want to buy some clothes. And so I'm looking through the list of clothes that she's showing me. And it's, that we got some Lizzos, wearing them. And I literally can't make the abstraction of the clothes on these people on my wife. And I mean, if you're heavy set, maybe it's useful for you, and in that regard, sure, but it just, for a person of my wife's physique, it's like it's different literally to make the abstraction. While I feel that even if you are heavy set and you look at a thin person wearing the clothes, at least you see the clothes in, I don't know how to express this other than default settings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easier for you to make the extraction in your head of how it might look on you, knowing your reality. And he's like, well, this is how the clothes look. Whereas when it's like on a heavyset person, it's like, this is how the clothes look stretched out.
I've seen a whole lot of websites lately where it's like you can change your model. You know what I mean? Where it's like you put in your like
that
your
seems
general,
helpful.
Like it's like I'm a shorter person or I'm a taller person, and like you choose that, and it's like, oh, here's what it looks like on.
That's
somebody
pretty
like
cool.
That. Yeah, I've seen that several times, but it usually defaults to what you would expect, like a model.
Yeah.
Like an actual model. But
That's funny because I would not expect that. I would expect a fat black chick.
I also wonder, like, how much of this is kind of a bit of hypocrisy because she still has her court charges pending, and I imagine that they would laugh and say that Donald Trump has his own court charges pending, and he's going to go to jail and stuff. But she actually just did a multi-million-dollar fundraiser for Biden, and an attorney for the former backup dancer filed a sexual harassment lawsuit against her in August. So they're saying, why is she doing a fundraiser for Biden 2 days ago and she's got a sexual harassment charge still pending, when a lot of people wait for your day in court and is all well and good, but they don't tend to give other people the same benefit of the doubt. Mm-hmm. In a lot of ways, it says, it's shameful that Lizzo would be chosen to headline an event like this amid such egregious allegations, says lawyer Ron Zambrano. Look, the sad fact is that it doesn't matter because in Hollywood, they protect their own, right? I don't know. I look at this and I see Doja Cat did this like a couple of months ago too. They go through things where they kind of like lose their cool on Twitter and then kind of just go off. And then I imagine for the publicist, that's the hardest part, where it's like, okay, this person who I'm handling now just said this thing where it could potentially cost them a lot of money.
And her situation is puzzling because, okay, let's say that she's self-aware. Let's say that she's self-aware and she realizes that all that I'm saying is like pretty quantifiably true.
Okay.
But does that mean that she can't make a song being like, hey, despite the fact that, I'm heavy set, I'm comfortable in my body and find some beauty in it? Mm-hmm. I mean, it'd be hard to make a song like that would convey the genuineness of the situation without upsetting people that call Scarlett Johansson mid on the internet.
Well, it would also go completely against how she's been marketed entirely
right
now. Like it would be admitting something they're not willing to admit to, which is that it's not actually healthy.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like she's kind of in a impossible situation.
It probably feels a bit like a prison for her. Like if she is self-aware. Like it probably feels a bit like a prison to her if she is self-aware and would actually like to make some music that calls attention to it, but can't because she's got this image to portray that her sponsors rely on her to do.
One of the biggest liars I ever met told me a very ironic quote. He said that at the end of the day, the truth is always known. So I feel like in the depths of her soul, she must know.
Yeah, and maybe that comes out, and she can also have her own redemption arc later then too, which they can then market that as their own thing. Also, she could go the Adele route and lose a bunch of weight, but then she'll have to deal with the vitriol that will come from the people that support her just because she's big now. There's a lot of people like that.
Or the Family Guy skit is like, oh, I'm Star Hands. Oh, okay, just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
She could do that.
So we'll have to wait and see which way she decides to go for that. It could go either way. I just know that if I was her, I would worry about it because like when your identity is tied so succinctly to your size and to these certain aspects of you, that sucks because you can't change anything about yourself. The same thing happened with Rebel Wilson, who wasn't allowed to lose weight for certain roles.
That's insane.
Like because she played a character named Fat Amy. Mm-hmm. Fat Amy can't come and be skinny. Though you'd think that the writers would be like, we can totally write around this and be like, wow, you're Fat Amy and now you're not fat anymore. Mm-hmm. A good writer would actually be able to do something with that. Yep. Yeah.
The part of Lizzo is like she became kind of like a verb. Similar to how Googling is like a search engine. Lizzo is, the Lizzo paradox. You call a chick, oh, you look beautiful, look just like Lizzo.
Scarlett Johansson is not mid to Stan. It's part of the discussion later. We're going to talk about that.
She is not.
But Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. All right, let's go and check out some super chats from you guys here. I'm going to do my best to get through these today without Mary, so bear with me if I miss any. I guess just, yeah, that's cool. All right, let's go ahead and check this out here. Shane H. Wilder says, "Happy Monday, Brett and Mary. If she isn't really ill, Dane and Wesley. If Mary is ill, I blame Brett. If she isn't, then she got a free meme out of me." So it looks like she got a free meme. I have no idea if he's leaving for good or if he's just leaving for the time.
I hope so. I hope he leaves for good.
What we're going to do here is I'm going to put it on 2 and see if I can change this to get rid of Mary and just do host camera 2 and add Wesley's camera. Sorry, guys. We're going to do this on the fly because I don't know what he was. I don't know if what he said.
Birth control. We're doing it live.
Yeah. I don't know if what he said was that we were going to get rid of it for good. So.
Oh, Chair can jump in.
Yeah, Chair can jump in for a minute.
So, Chair, what are your thoughts on Lizzo?
Yeah,
she's gonna lose some weight, Chair.
Yep, that's good. All right, let's do one more here. Shane H. Wilder says, "PCC ends and I end memes and shorts all in the same day. Damn, the first day of April is really sucking, isn't it?" Yes, it is.
As it tends to do.
Yeah. All right, let's do one more. We got one here from Das Pooch. Says, when Trump is reelected, I hope he puts a ban on April Fool's Day with a trip to Gitmo as punishment. The internet ruined it years ago. Do you think that's true?
That seems a bit excessive, but thank you for your donation.
Yeah, April Fool's was more fun before the internet.
It really was.
Yeah.
Because most people weren't cognizant that it was April Fool's. Yep. And you can say something that to dishearten or distract them and then be like, lol, April Fools. But now it's just everyone's talking about it a week before, so the day comes and everyone's up in arms.
Yep. And you got to plan ahead. We're going to talk about that a little bit at the end there. With we get a whole segment of April Fool's stuff today, so people are going to be nice and pissed by the time we get to that one. I'm absolutely sure of. All right, let's move on then. I want to talk to you, but actually, you know what? Let's keep doing super chats. Let's do a couple more here, and then we'll wait and see if Wesley comes back. So DCNC says, "Dane, do you even come from a real country?"
I do not.
No.
It's literally not a country to a colony. So thanks for rubbing it in.
Yes. Dave Collins says, "Did YouTube send you guys the 100,000 subscriber plaque?" No. And here's the thing. I need to actually go on Twitter and say, "Hey guys, what's going on with this?" Or Tim should have to go and do that because Tim has a larger reach. He could probably make sure that the 100,000 subscriber silver play button shows up in no time.
Do you think it's because you're a fascist?
No, I do not think it's because I'm a fascist.
Oh, well. Yeah. All right.
All right. I'm gonna go back to trying this one more time. I have to go back here to 3 and copy Wesley's. Oh no, he's back. Thank goodness. I was like, is he going for good? I was like, you're like.
It felt like I was going for good.
Like I was like, you're leaving me in the lurch here, bro. If I don't have if I
just had to powder his nose.
I don't have a scene
Cocaine
set up
is what
for.
I meant.
No, I'm good. I'm
for
back.
this. All right. Let's go ahead and get started then, guys. Let's go ahead and talk about The Rock because The Rock drew a bunch of ire over the weekend because he dared make a video, and this video isn't even new. This video is about 2 years old, where he was playing with his daughters, and his daughters covered his face in makeup, and I thought the whole thing was actually quite sweet, actually. You know, we talk a lot about fatherlessness here these days, and here we have a guy who's actually showing himself to be a present dad, and the internet's dragging him for it. So let's go ahead and watch this video so you guys can see what it is that we're talking about. It's this old video.
Wow. You have to press that hard?
Wow, he's a beautiful lady, huh?
Wow.
Oh, Daddy, you look
Okay.
so... Where's the
Do I
tutu?
look cool?
It's a tutu, everybody!
Promise me that I look
I mean, they're having fun at least.
Stand up.
cool.
Stand up.
Okay. So here's the problem, guys. When all you see, when all you hear, when all you experience every day is the internet, and all you see, all you hear, all you experience is the culture war, stuff like this, which is completely harmless, will suddenly look evil to you. And that's actually true in the comments for this video. I saw people calling this a humiliation ritual from Hollywood.
Yeah. Is his daughter called Hollywood?
His daughter must be called Hollywood, right? So here's my problem. right? When all you have is a hammer, every problem is a nail, right? When all you have is a nail, every problem is a hammer. Same thing, okay? That's not what this is. And then people were drawing comparisons to the videos of John Cena, where he's going around with the knee highs. I'm like, look, that was a Hollywood production with a bunch of people that made him dress up like that, or at least offered him a role where he had to dress up like this. You can have the discussion about whether Hollywood humiliation rituals are a thing. Sure, yes. A lot of people agree that those are a very real thing. They emasculate plenty of people. That's just not what this situation is, and you have no idea how to tell the difference anymore because you're terminally online.
Just seems like a classic case of the whimsy.
Of the whimsy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what would the inverse of this even be? Like, what would the boy mom version of this be? That's a humiliation ritual.
I don't know.
I don't think of that. I don't know. You really stooped me there, Brad.
Here's some of the comments. It says social media is full of haters and losers who get on just to criticize everything. That's good. But then right under that, Cat Williams was right. Cat Williams is the one who's
wear the dress.
Calling
I was about to say, I wonder what Cat Williams thinks.
Yep. And then thank
Shot
you
on
for this
shop.
comment. The chronically online rightists. Cat Williams was right. Isn't this called being a dad? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. That's exactly what this calls. At the end of the day, he doesn't care. But then right here, humiliation ritual.
Yeah.
No, guys.
Yeah, I mean, the right wing is becoming increasingly more progressive, which I despise immensely.
Yeah.
And I've been vehemently saying in this podcast that I hope that the counterculture doesn't become exactly what it hates, just as it falls
will.
on deaf ears.
No, it will.
it
absolutely
is.
will.
It's
It absolutely will.
it's the same, like it's a different currency, but the same rules apply.
Same.
Yeah, it's
Like
like
different.
I will be the most trad. I will be the most. That's
Correct.
what wokeness is. Like the reason that it's gotten to the point is somebody had to be like, oh no, I'm more socially aware. This is the exact same thing. It's just different fodder.
Yep.
The other thing the reason it bothers me is like it's encouraged because if you want to actually build a platform in this world, a lot of times you do have to be the most hyperbolic, the most bombastic. Rational takes aren't going to get you a whole lot of support because people don't go online to see rational. They go online.
See, I
for the
disagree.
freak
I think
show.
like the long-term platforms are built by people who are thoughtful and rational, whereas the like short-term success comes to those who are the most sensational. To say that this is somehow not something that a father of girls has to go through. They have to put tea parties. Like one of my best friends back home has 2 daughters and like has to go through does the same stuff, like plays. Like I'll be on the phone with him talking about work stuff, like our old job, and he'll be like, "Oh, yep, I'll have some tea." You know, it's just like.
I was very glad to see like the majority of the comments here were people saying like, look, this is just being a dad.
Yep.
This is just what it's like to be the father of girls. And that's good and that's wholesome. And that's what I want to see. I would like to see more rationality rather than just the jump to make my biggest annoyance right now is like with everything that goes on, like for instance, with Diddy, like, so what they do now
It was
what
so
they
cute how
do
you said it.
now is they take a picture. So he's got a history with thousands of people, right? He's interacted with thousands of people. He's got stories with thousands of people. Now you just post a picture of him next to some person and you say it's all getting exposed.
Yeah.
Everything's coming out right now, and it's just a way to farm clicks. That's all it is, and it's annoying, but I get it. But I wonder if for a lot of them, it's not necessarily being a bad actor. It's like, look, I'm just terminally online. I don't know how to see the forest through the trees right now. How do you get people to start to pull themselves back and see that not everything is the culture war?
I don't know, because my opinion is that so the people that are being right-wing progressives, what they kind of have this air of they used to be left-wing progressives. So what I mean by that is I don't know if you've ever met a girl that was like staunchly feminist and then became non-feminist, but then she kind of holds that same vitriol and vibe to being anti-feminist. But then you can be like, well, the whole idea is for you to be less zealot about your ideals and like blindly trusting them. But it seems that you put your blind faith towards the other side. Like it wasn't reason that you derived from the whole experience. It was like this bad, so now this is the ultimate good. It's like, well, perhaps
Maybe ultimate good is the first problem you had.
Yeah, maybe the lesson was like there's some gray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think gray is a lot harder for people to deal with.
What it really is that the problem look inward.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily like you could be a normal person who happens to be somewhat on the left. There's one right next to us. Like you're somewhat more liberal than Dane or I.
Yes.
You're completely normal. Like it's you decided. This is what I was thinking this when you were talking about yourself being a shitlib and how you wanted to change the world. The problem with the shitlib formula is that, okay, nothing about me needs to change.
Right.
Everything outside of me needs to change, and I can accomplish that, which is the exact wrong problem. Like,
but
the only way the world changes is when most people look inward and go, I could be better.
For me, I think it was in earnest. I thought that we could change the world. And so I was in the university and I was being part of all these like student groups, and
I already hated you. You don't have to convince me.
the feeling's mutual. And the thing is that I would go to the meetings and I could tell it was just like guys trying to get laid with chicks with hair on their armpits. I was like, oh, we're not doing productive and helpful things.
Maybe then my biggest benefit was that I was just really pessimistic and I just didn't think he could change the world.
Yeah.
So to me, as somebody who had to go through like a lot of work to change himself internally because of his own mistakes, your own eggs, your own chickens come home to roost, so to speak. Like, I was always so focused on fixing the things that I had broken that it never made sense to me to worry about things on the larger scale, because most of what you experience in the world isn't like look, in politics, a lot of those policies will impact you in some way, but for the most part, it's like not being able to get people to focus on their local elections when that's far more likely to affect your life than large scale elections, right? It's a lot easier to focus on the bigger issues because you never have to actually expect anything to change. You can scream and howl and cry at the wind, but does anybody actually expect it to change? Most people don't, I think. I think it just fills them with a sense of comfort to be able to yell about it and talk about it. When you have to yell and scream and talk about your own problems, the things that you need to change, people are going to actually expect you to make make things different, to actually change things.
Yeah, you like when you brought up like a feminist who becomes a not feminist, like the litmus test for that for me is like, are they saying like, here's why I left because of these people, or I was wrong about this, I was wrong about this? Like, what is the mea culpa with your movement and you're switching to a new movement, or is the mea culpa with yourself and saying like, oh, I misunderstood these issues, I'm gonna, like, a really good example is like somebody used to be a hardcore feminist who I think is 100% genuine in their change is Carrie Smith. She's been on a couple
I
of
know
times.
who she is.
She is 100% genuine. Like, I was wrong about all of these things. Not like, oh, these people actually, they're not that nice to me, they don't like me, I'm going to go to this side. We have a lot of those on the conservative movement where they're like, I was a leftist, now I'm a conservative, and then they switch back or they become something else. Like, the genuine change in somebody to get out of the culture war is to realize that the largest role you play in it is yourself. Is like, what are you bringing to the table? And if you're going to play this game to where I'm going to be terminally online, I'm going to tell everybody what they're doing wrong, this person does not know how to look inward. And that's where look at themselves.
No, I guess
no, never mind.
Never mind.
No, yeah. I was like, I need to be careful with my terminology here.
Oh, never mind. Okay, yeah, like I guess it's just something. It's something that I think about a lot because whenever I still talk about things that matter to me. I still talk. I mean, most of it's connected to these industries, to Hollywood or movies that I like or movies that. But even then, I have questions to myself. I'm like, how much does it really benefit anyone really to have me out here complaining about it? Now, that's not really the point. The point of social media is to allow you to talk about whatever it is that's on your mind at any one given time. That's fine. But when you're terminally online and all you see is the culture war and everything, I kind of liken it to like when you've been just online too much one specific day and you can feel it starting to like manipulate and affect your emotions where things bother you more than they normally would, and you get really, really upset and stuff like that. And I've always been, I think it's just part of getting sober and part of going into recovery is like you have to be very acutely aware of like how your body responds to certain things. Meaning like if you put yourself in a really negative headspace, it can affect you the rest of the day. A lot of times that would come out. I don't ever remember my dreams, but I would have really, really vivid dreams if I have like one of those days where I spend too much time online and stuff like that. So I see a direct result of my inability to control my behavior. But I also see a lot of it is like when a lot of things come up, I just think like, who really cares about my, like, it's more of like a be humble. Like who the hell actually cares what I have to say about this stuff?
But you know what's funny? I think when you have that attitude, people usually care more about what you think because you're not incessantly putting it out there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Versus these people that, you know, as we constantly talk about, when I bring awareness, and all they talk about is like bringing awareness and yada yada, etc.
We have to have a discussion about this.
Yeah.
Right.
Nothing gets solved in that. All it does is make people more upset. But the problem is that it's not a very good argument to say then no discussion should happen at all. So it's a trap.
It's just they're not. You have to be able to discern between somebody wanting to have a discussion and somebody wanting to like chess one up you.
Yeah.
And make a point at your expense, and you know, like the thing you're describing, like the terminally online people, they do this. It's not they're not really fighting a war on either side. They're consistently putting other things down to avoid having to like make any change in themselves.
Yeah.
That's it. And that is what makes these wars, like these cultural wars, continue. Is like I have to justify or reconcile within myself that there's nothing wrong with me.
Do you think part of this is I
mean,
I
to
don't
see
know
that happen on this side really sucks.
I don't know how much of this has to do with age. Like I think back to when I was younger and none of my friends cared about this type of stuff. They just didn't, right? Like it wasn't something that people concerned themselves with. Now the argument for most people is that like it got as bad as it did because nobody cared. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that. But if
I disagree.
If we've deteriorated to the point where a dad actually being present with his kids is a problem because people hate Hollywood, then your inability to see the forest through the trees says that something got lost along the way.
Yep. A dad letting his daughters do makeup on him, like there are so many worse, like that. I wouldn't even call that bad, but I would say there's so many things that you are seeing online that parents are subjecting their own worldview onto their children. This man is not doing that.
Yeah.
This man is literally just being a dad.
Wow. I just had a thought, and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, or perhaps like you don't want to elaborate on this, but I think it's maybe that I am this way because I saw how people in collectives can be, thus the opinions of collectives like mob rule became less important to me.
Yeah.
And I wonder with you, with the experiences that you had, perhaps you're the same. And so it becomes less important. But however, some people, they're the opposite. They see that being very individualistic and not a part of any group has been very detrimental. Thus, they have to signal like, "Hey, I'm in this group. Like, don't leave me behind."
No, like I abhor the group dynamic in most things.
Well, was there one time where a group like led you astray? No,
not really. I played sports. I liked playing sports. I played team sports, but I was never like overly enamored with the idea, with the team mentality of it, though I do understand the benefits of it. Skating is obviously an individual activity. You have friends that you do it with, but at the end of the day, whether you succeed or fail is completely reliant on your ability to practice, grow, get better within the sport or within the activity. So I always leaned more towards the individualist side on things. Not to say it's like nobody understands me or anything.
I would argue even a sports team is not a good comparison to a collective way of thinking, because it's individuals partnering to achieve a goal, whereas like a collectivist way of thinking is you are only as good as the whole.
Yeah, I still remember when I got hired Tim, like when Tim was looking for people to work here, and he hired me to work on the vlog. He was like trying to find people in the skating world to reach out to, and he said he understood that he could probably reach out to me because like on my Instagram bio it says like individualism over collectivism or whatever phrase that is, which is about as political of a statement as I would make on something like that. So even now, I can't fit in. It's hilarious because here it's like I don't fit in with the right. I definitely don't fit in with the left, and that's completely fine with me. But it feels like we live in a world where even I catch myself doing it. I still find myself like trying to figure out which box a person fits in when that does them a disservice, even if they want to be seen as part of a box. It's kind of human nature to try and categorize people that way. And then you do that for too long, and then suddenly The Rock taking a video with his daughters is suddenly an issue, and everybody has to make it into a culture war problem. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but where stories like this go. But these are going to get worse. I do think stories like this are going to get worse because. But
get worse what? It's just noise.
It's going to feed into the online discourse, and then whatever platform you find it on, in this case Twitter, will end up being just more unhealthy dialogue about something that doesn't really matter. And coming up on an election year, stories like this are going to become more plentiful because actors are often just a couple rungs below politicians, and they're going to be waiting for endorsements. So imagine he gets because like the WrestleMania is coming up this weekend, so he's already newsworthy.
Oh wow!
Because right guys, this weekend I could be misremembering.
He's against Cody. I think.
Yeah. So like he's already big news this weekend because of WrestleMania and stuff like that. By the way, WrestleMania would suck this year if The Rock was not involved. That is for sure, because he has actually made that storyline worthwhile. So, all right. Let's go and do some more Super Chats. Again, I'm going to do my very best to not lose my place here as much as I can. You threw me off before when you went. All right, let's see.
Great job, Weasel.
It's all your fault. It really is all your fault. No, and to Dave Collins again, we have not gotten the 100K plaque yet, which
I blame biology.
I do too.
Just like Lizzo does.
Nice.
She does.
Is biology a new cheeseburger?
Yes. Hold please.
The double biology with extra cheese, extra bacon.
All right. Kellen says, y'all do a great job covering pop culture out of Cali and other celebs in government, but y'all need to cover gaming more. It's the next war zone. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of been the next war zone, has it not?
This is the current.
It's the current war.
Yeah.
More. I would actually say, Kellen, that it's probably more the war zone than even Hollywood is.
100%.
Because more people are involved in gaming now than those who go to see movies.
I wonder if this Kellen's sleepy.
It's Kelhund. It's Kelhund.
Oh.
Kelhun.
Oh.
HUD.
Get some good sleep.
HUND. And again, I'm going to do my
Keep it
best to
down, please.
read the super chats without being too awful. Mary's so good at it. I am not. The Manic Mustache says, I hate April 1st, but we at hiring at the treehouse. I don't know what that means.
I mean,
Does anybody have any clue?
Did you even say words there?
I'm going to read it again. Yeah. I hate April 1st, but we at hiring at the treehouse. I read it right.
Yeah.
I read it right.
Thank you.
I mean, I could use a job at some point. You never know.
Good.
We'll let you know once we get rid of Brett.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, dude.
I mean, today, right? It's the last episode.
Somebody made a joke because like Kellen's going to be shadowing me for a couple of days because he's got to be able to do this job when because I'm going to be going out of town intermittently over the next year or so.
He's going to transition.
Yeah, exactly. And while I'm transitioning, the thing is that somebody will need to sit in this seat. And somebody's like, you're training yourself out of a job. I'm like, that would be ironic, wouldn't it? Yeah. They're like, we've looked at the numbers and Kellen's just a better fit. So pound sand. And they fire me. All right.
Here's hoping.
Tell me. The audience is all like, yes, when he's seriously. Iroshimu Utaru says, I went with my America back-to-back World War champs.
Okay.
America, back-to-back World War champs.
Dude, all the super chats are unintelligible today.
I mean, it could just be my reading.
Maybe.
Crisis Kang, Rhaegar Targaryen, says, media matters right now. Breaking, right-wing Brett Dasovic sues fellow ultra-MAGA, far-right extremist Tim Pool. The right continues to fracture. Yay, yes. That's exactly what would happen. I now need to raise my own $100,000 for my legal fees to do. Okay, so how did you guys... Okay, so when that stuff was going on, maybe it's just because I'm a dude, but I was like, it's just interpersonal. I don't care. Did you care? I don't watch Crowder, so
yeah, I kind of care in the sense that like when Crowder came out and was running his mouth about the Daily Wire, and it's like, oh, this looks really bad, but then when worse stuff comes out about you, it makes it hard to take you seriously, and like, that feels like a detriment. And I want to like all of these people, but it's like, if you're dishonest with me, how can I like look to you or hold you up as a good example of, like, you're talking about taking on big media, but when you're acting that way, like, how are you? You're just making the situation worse.
I don't know. I'm kind of like you, man. Like, just because I'm not a progressive doesn't mean I'm a Republican. I've never identified with that branding, so I don't really care.
yeah. Also, I find that like the best way out of having there was that video the other day where the trad lady was like, we don't involve our families in our marital disputes, because then it forces people to pick sides, and that's what these things do. If you're supposed to look at the right as a family, then they're all picking sides. I believe this person. I believe this person. Yeah. If I just say I don't care, then nobody expects me to take a side. That's always perfect.
I mean, it does. If
It bothers me from a business.
if those NDAs are really that abhorrent, then it like do better. You know what I mean?
All right. And somebody said Brett's already whiny like most women. Why no bottom surgery?
Okay.
Thank you, Warmaniac 209. I can't afford it right now.
You know, you guys could pay and send something nice too.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
No, that I just thought
like, keep it going.
He
But
didn't even pay for that one. I just read it because it was.
there we go.
It was rude, and
A little bit of Brett hate.
I appreciate the hate. That's fine. All right, guys, let's move on then,
Game
shall
respects
we?
game.
Let's talk about Scarlett Johansson. So, as you guys know, not that long ago, everyone was discussing online whether Margot Robbie, actress Margot Robbie, Barbie, all these famous movies, they were discussing whether Margot Robbie was mid. Of course, if you know what Margot Robbie looks like, you would know that she is objectively not mid. There, I'm making the declaration right here.
Objective.
Now, guys, the discourse has found its way to another Hollywood celebrity. People are asking, this person says, Scarlett Johansson is so mid, bro. Change my mind.
She's even hotter.
I love the community. I love the community note that says this is engagement farming.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
100%.
Thank you.
And this is how Twitter ad revenue has kind of destroyed the platform
Yes.
in a way that you don't know what is actually real. You know what's in someone's heart anymore.
Yep.
By the way, this is the worst picture they can find of her looking super hot.
Yeah. So I did like seeing. I think Josie posted like porn has ruined your brain.
Yeah.
Like, and it has for a lot of them. Like a lot of it is like kids are growing up. They're not actually meeting real women, and they've never seen what a woman looks like without an airbrushed or retouched photo or something without a filter on it. So they don't actually know what it looks like to look at a real woman. And if Scarlett Johansson is mid, then you're in for a really, really rough existence.
Seriously.
Right? If anything, what it's doing is you're setting yourself up for failure, because that means that every woman that you're with is going to be likely below mid. Or if she's below mid and you rate her higher, it just proves the existence of love.
Yep.
Dude, I have a friend who's an effing dork, and he's the kind of guy that would be like, she's honestly mid. And it's like, you would throw your entire family in a volcano just for the chance to say hi to her.
I mean, that's when this stuff is happening with Margot Robbie. This happens to me a lot when people are talking about the women. They're like, "Oh, she's wearing too much makeup. She's ugly." Or like Megan Fox. I'm like, and if you saw her at a bar, you'd attempt to have sex with her. Yes, you would. And don't tell me differently. You're lying.
Now, there's something to be said for tastes. There's something to be said. I can look at, I can respect somebody who looks at Margot Robbie and says, like, that's not my type. And it's like, what's your type? And you're like, oh, Christina Ricci's my type. You know what I mean? Like, I understand. I mean, like, I don't go for this type. Or like, they like something completely different. Like, I have a very good friend back home who only like is like really into Asian women below a certain height and above a certain weight range. Like, that's his thing.
Interesting.
That's what he is into. And so anything outside of that.
But would he be able to look outside his preferences to decide whether Margot Robbie or Scarlett Johansson are effectively mid?
He would be able to say that the world doesn't think they're mid, but to him, he would be like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, he just had, like, he is locked into this.
That's pretty specific.
It is.
That's pretty specific.
It makes me think that there was some sort of trauma, but
Could be.
like,
I think I'm the ultimate gauge for understanding and comprehending beauty, and she is a smoke show.
I also look at stuff like this. It's like the ultimate form. If it's not engagement farming, it's like the ultimate form of bravado.
well, it's also the ultimate form of like denying your closeted nature. Like,
How so?
if your existence is to be like, I'm not gay, I just have really high standards. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, like, okay, so if I saw somebody in the chat say, if Margot Robbie is mid, then what the hell is, like, what's a not mid person? What's an above mid person?
well, if you set the standard to be nothing, then like my point remains.
By the way, Brett, I don't know if you saw this, but the discourse is beginning on Twitter that Sydney Sweeney's mid. I mean, where do we go next?
It's all.
When does this tomfoolery end?
Well, okay, so how about we change the discourse? Make it about who isn't mid rather than who is. But that doesn't matter because if you put
No,
if you
no, 'cause
post
negativity
that,
sells.
Then yeah, that's really the crux of most of this. Is that at the end of the day, negative stories
Celebrating things does not sell.
No, it does not.
Unless you're a
look
fan
at
account.
any
and it's
any movie
super
review.
cringe. I will say, like when people are like, let's just all for a moment recognize how beautiful Scarlett Johansson is. I hate that just as much. Like I do.
I don't.
Inherently, I hate the celebrity worship as much as I hate.
Oh yeah, I hate that. Yeah, sure.
The any movie review that we do that does that's about a movie that sucks does a hell of a lot better than any movie review that goes on about things that we like. I just the way it is.
Yep.
People are just that way.
Yep.
Right. And I think a lot of it is just only seeing women digitally.
Yep.
Like if you're not actually seeing someone in the real world, like we're not actually aware of just how much damage like a whole world viewed through the lens of Photoshop and filters is actually
now
doing to us.
completely AI models.
Yep.
Like I was not aware that was a thing until recently, and I was like, why?
There's like, oh yeah, $20 super chat here from Francisco Sanchez Jr. says, the day after Transformers Day of Visibility, I just want to acknowledge the groovy sound wave. Radio Raheem approves of this.
I hope that's Michael Bay's next movie, Transformers Day of Visibility.
I would go watch that. I would go watch it with Megan Fox, who is not mid.
No,
Who is not? Though I did.
I will
see,
say she looks a lot less good than she used to.
Yeah.
personal. Point of personal preference to everyone. She's also older.
Yeah, but they're like it's this.
It's the buckle fat removal. Yeah. A lot of people hate the buckle fat removal.
Transformers 1, Megan Fox was a thing to behold.
Yep. And there's likely people online who are going to engagement farm right now calling Transformers Megan Fox mid.
I will fight you.
And then they'll
By the
bring
way,
up the very valid argument about
I am
her hands.
unwavering. In the early days of this podcast, me and Brett had quite the fights about darling, beautiful Brie Larson, who is seemingly unlikable but still beautiful.
I would agree.
I do agree that she has
Good-looking person.
she has since changed her. She's like got really into physical fitness and is in really really good shape, and she's beautiful. She's beautiful.
At no point has she been unattractive.
But Scarlett Johansson was like one of those actual Hollywood bastions of sex appeal at a time when they were starting to inch away from that and get away from that.
She never let it go.
No, she didn't. She's also talented, which is why it's even funnier that she will kind of always have that discourse around her about her looks, given the fact that she can actually act, and her acting doesn't get brought up very often. It just doesn't. I rewatched.
She's typecasted as hell. Like she's always like the romantic desire for X, Y, or Z.
I rewatched Civil
Or
War.
like an ass kicker.
I rewatched Winter Soldier over the weekend, and she's fantastic in that movie.
I think that movie's fantastic.
It is.
It's the best one.
Chat, what say you? Is Captain America Civil War or Captain America the Winter Soldier the best of the Marvel MCU?
I would argue
I believe that
Civil
Winter
War
Soldier
is crap.
Winter Soldier is the best of the
Yes.
MCU by far. Yeah.
That and the first Iron Man.
Yep.
How do you fix this discourse? I don't think you can fix it. I think you have to
Like
get
the
offline.
blank is mid
Yes.
discourse. You won't.
Yeah.
You won't. I mean, like
Engagement
this
farming.
You
is
laugh at them.
This
You
is-
laugh at the people who say these things.
this
No,
is
you
like
ignore 'em.
Because
if you laugh at
social
engagement.
media, this was like what like dudes would sit around and be like, "Oh, this person sucks. Oh no, this person's not. Like this
Yeah.
is not new. It's just that now people are getting paid.
Yeah, the way a man.
Yeah, like now, like you're getting paid to piss the most people. Like we all had friend that would say, like you said, that one who would say the thing that you're, and everybody in the room would be like, "Oh, dude, whatever," but nobody was paying them to believe that or to not believe it.
That's crazy too, because I can't. I say pretty often, I think my biggest fear in life is being misunderstood.
Yeah.
And I can't just say something that I don't mean because it's financially beneficial. I wouldn't be able to do that. That's actually hell
I could say it.
to me. I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't.
Your
be able
word
to
is
do
your
that.
bond, Dane Font.
I don't know. I think Nancy Pelosi makes great points.
Okay, so then, did you see her thing about Cesar Chavez Day?
Yeah,
Nancy
dude.
Pelosi?
What, I mean, what a
No.
delight of a woman.
No, what'd she say?
Well, she just on Easter, she says it's Cesar Chavez Day. It's actually amazing how much they hate.
There's in Chicago, right next to my old apartment, there is a mural on the side of a building that's Cesar Chavez on a cross,
Cool.
like being like stabbed with a big spear.
Dope.
It says something about like the working class. I don't know. I was like, oh my god.
And also the guy who said that she's made is selling a book on how to pick up women. So
Oh yeah, and I bet he can get hard chicks than Scarlett Johansson.
yeah, it's,
This internet dweeb.
yeah. It's,
And they're probably way more interesting too.
I guess okay, no, never mind. Okay, it's not necessarily how to pick up women. It says everything I wish I knew when I was 18. Advice for young men to create a great life for themselves. There you go. So
He can't even discern beauty.
the real,
Like, how does
the
he get
real
the advice?
question is what is Jordan Peterson's take on whether Scarlett Johansson is mid or not? That's what I need to know.
She's hot, like my daughter.
That's exactly what he'd say.
She's hot.
Somebody says Cesar Chavez Day is only a thing in California. Actually, Jimmy, I lived where I lived in West St. Paul was like right down off Cesar Chavez Road, and it was like a parade every.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, well, the more you know.
Okay, so then if you Brie Larson, Margot Robbie, or Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson, without a doubt.
Brie Larson,
Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie, or we can throw Megan Fox in there because it's still going to be
Oh, well,
Scarlett
Yes.
Transformers
Yeah.
1 Mega Fox then.
Johansson. Scarlett Johansson.
That's fair enough. All right. I think that at the end of the day, a little bit more time off the internet would do everyone a little bit more good. That's kind of like the theme of today's episode. Just take a little bit more time off the internet and perhaps let these things out, or pay attention to who is engagement farming.
Yes.
All right.
As we continue to be on the internet live.
Yes. Well, you know, if you have to leave this,
No, I don't.
if you have to leave this show today to get off the internet for
No.
a while, I'm okay with that.
I don't
I sacrifice this.
you. How many times have you seen me tweet since we've known each other? Like 5.
Yeah.
I'm not terminally online.
That's good. Okay,
I
so
will go to tweet a lot sometimes and think like I don't even want to know my opinion. on
yes,
it. You know?
yeah. So this happens to me a lot. Or what it is like whatever it is, I'm already picturing what they're going to say back. And
Yeah.
Then I have to respond.
I spend a lot of time
thinking.
thinking about like, is there any way that this sounds disingenuous?
Yeah.
Like I didn't even put like I am a extremely born again Christian and I didn't even tweet anything about Easter or Resurrection Sunday because I was like, I can't spend enough time to think that I've covered all of my bases to sound as genuine as possible.
Yep. That's
So I just will
me.
say nothing.
That's what I do. I just like most of the time, I just at least for certain things like I'll repost a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
like
I
I'll
do too.
repost articles and things like that with like one response, but things that actually have meaning, I just can't bring myself to do
Yep.
it. The other day, I was thinking about like making a tweet talking about like, look, I see people talking about like wanting to change the culture. I never wanted to change the culture. I just want to make something that people find enjoyable for a couple hours a day. And then all I could think about was like what people would like. I just gave up. I was like, I don't care. I don't care. Like nobody cares about my opinion anyway. It's fine. So
Yeah, I am a son of the internet. Like, I can't even. I am terminally online. I don't
mean,
see
that's
myself
not saying
changing.
that's not saying that I'm not like online too much. It just means I'm not posting a lot.
I am posting a lot.
I post less than I'm a lurker in a lot of ways.
Oh, I lurk definitely more than I post, and I don't know. But the thing is, what I post is I would tell you in person. It's not like a persona.
I would rather tell it to you in person
Yeah.
than
Yeah. I mean,
would rather,
same.
That's actually the point, right? Is I would rather say something like that in person or on the show so that I can adequately explain to the best of my abilities what I mean by that. Like I said, my biggest fear is being misunderstood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Can't
feel the
handle
same
it.
way.
That's not mine. But I'm having an issue where I'm trying to be really positive, not really positive, but like positive online, and letting people know that even if I have a disagreement with them, doesn't mean I hate them.
Yeah.
But it's like they want me to hate them. Like, and I'm not even being facetious. It's like the
They
Final
want to fight with you.
Yeah, the Final Fantasy fandom like has fights about their favorite games. It was like, I was like, oh well, I don't particularly like that one, but I'm glad you enjoy it. And they're like, oh yeah, you would say that, blah blah. I'm like, but I genuinely mean this. I'm glad you enjoy it. I wish I could find some enjoyment out of it, but I don't like it for X or Y reason. And it's like, yeah, it's because you're a stupid cook. I'm like, okay, well.
People shit on any type of sincerity.
Yep.
That's
It's crazy,
That's
but-
the internet. All right. Speaking of which, in the chat, I said thanks to everyone for coming out today. I thought I'd be a bit sincere in the chat today.
Aw.
Add some positivity to the internet. Let's go and do some super chats here, ladies and gentlemen. What do we got? We got one here from Sweet Baby Inc. I'm guessing MTL is Montreal. Mary got the Fauci ouchie. R.I.P. Andrew Jacobs says, R.I.P. Mary Morgan, 2000 to 2024. That's how bad I am at reading that I just couldn't even read the year 2000 correctly. Like, you guys don't understand how dumb I am. Actually, they do.
Oh, I understand.
They do. Never mind. Everybody
Very.
does. That's fair. That's my stupidity knows no bounds. That's not a problem. All right, the Manic Mustache says 9/11 the musical working on 4th draft.
Okay.
Let's go.
Let us know how that goes.
What's it going to like? What would you call it? What would you like if you had a musical about 9/11? What would it be called? Crashing planes and steel beams.
I'll pass this one.
I'll get there. Give me a minute.
My favorite meme recently that I sent you, Dane, was the one where the 2 towers crash into the planes.
I remember that
It's
one.
the planes are upright and the towers crash into them. All right. Hiroshima Utaru says, I tried the Starburst water. I can taste sweetener. Yes, I can literally taste the heart disease that it's giving me. I don't know how, but it is.
We've come to the point where they're just lying on the food facts. They're like, no, it
Honestly-
has no sugar.
And there's a big wink.
0 calories. I just gained 3 pounds while drinking a centimeter. Like, nope, 0
Exactly.
calories.
Pat the plumber. No, I'm sorry. Lulu4 says the reason why it's called the Luther Burger is because it was a favorite. It was a favorite and possibly invented by singer Luther Vandross.
Thank
I have
you.
no idea if what he just said is true, but if it is, that's awesome. If
Yeah.
it's not, awesome too.
I'm gonna take that as
If
fact.
it's not true, really impressive backstory.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
It is true
Just
for me now.
All right. All right, let's hold off on the rest and we'll come back after the fact. If you guys didn't catch at the beginning of the show, it is April Fool's today. And the mainstream media went as far as to report on the fact that Elon Musk decided to troll Disney with his own today that I thought was quite funny. It says, April Fool, Elon Musk says he's off to Disney to make content, quote, more woke. And that is because of his tweet in which he talked about it, where he basically said, what was it? I have it here. Excited to join Disney as their chief DEI officer. Can't wait to work with Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy to make their content even more woke. Even the linguini. And then people are spamming the meme of him as for his Netflix movie
special, yeah.
underneath. Which I think just looks like Tiger Woods, personally, but that's just me.
Not even remotely.
So I think it's funny because the news outlets reporting on this is one thing, but for these types of stories, did you come across a lot outside of social media? Did you come across a lot of like fake articles?
No, it's all like first of all, I ignore social media on this day.
Yes.
For the most part, because it's not even like clever. It's just like bottom of the
pregnant.
barrel
It's
joke.
almost like pretending your show is getting canceled isn't clever.
Yep. Well, that's like it's almost ironically funny in the sense that you're making fun of all of the very bad attempts.
Yes.
But like this was funny 15 years ago.
Yes.
Like when or 20 years ago when articles were like, or when outlets were like, we could just post entirely fake articles, kind of like The Onion, and just never say anything about it. And it's like, oh, that's cheeky. Like we were talking about marketing for companies. Like it was funny when 5 companies were funny on Twitter. Now that every company is funny on Twitter, no one is.
Dude, I've been working in digital.
Yeah, and that is really depressing, right?
I've been working in digital marketing for 10 years now. So I've been navigating the internet every day for my job, like for 10 years. And it's like, it doesn't get better.
Companies trying to be like clever online, just it's funny because what it is, it's like did you see the memes ironically, it's like Inception memes where it says like it's advertising like be a meme creator for our company, make $80,000 a year. It's like don't ever let your parents tell you to not follow your dreams. It's like imagine you get like paid to make memes for some big corporation for $80K a year, and then you think about it and you're like, look, the whole beauty, one of the most beautiful aspects of mimetic culture is the individualism behind it, knowing that it was a person that created this in a moment of, to use your word earlier, whimsy. And I think of that, and I think about how that runs completely contrary to corporate creation.
It only works when it's the exception.
Yes.
Like, it only works when it's the outside.
The only one that I keep mentioning, the one from a couple years ago where KFC followed all
console?
5 Spice Girls and the 6 guys named Herb on Twitter for 11 herbs and spices. And or like the battle between Steakums and Neil deGrasse Tyson online, because it just seems like the Steakums or the Radio Shack guy, the guy who bought the handle for Radio Shack, he bought the name for Radio Shack to turn it into a meme.
KFC has some bangers. Remember where they said they were going to make that PC that would cook chicken?
That's funny.
The what? Oh yeah. Well, no, they had the chicken pizza that's out now that everybody keeps talking about. 'Cause it's just chicken parmesan and whatnot. Like I can't think of a good or when Burger King did the one that says like women belong in the kitchen.
Oh yeah.
And everybody got pissed and they like retracted. I'm like that's the point. You should not have retracted. If you actually meant it, be about it. Stand by your word. It's not even like it's not all it is a catchy headline. It's not even misogynistic.
No.
It's but they can't stand by it.
It's a play on words. Like
yeah. I look at this stuff and it's just the culture is so saturated with this stuff that I get a little bit of joy out of Elon Musk doing it just because he's actually suing Disney right now because of Gina Carano.
You know what? He's increasingly becoming boomer dad on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like
He posts boomer memes.
He doesn't slap like with his memes.
he used to.
He used to.
He did used to 2020.
I don't know what
his memes slapped, but I mean that was 4 years ago, so he's 4 years older.
You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
I wonder. Oh God, will I be a boomer cringe poster?
You will. It's not about like aging out like your generation and that humor stays funny. You find dumber things funnier as you age.
It's crazy because I feel like in my personal life I'm definitely like the get off my lawn old man.
Yeah.
Everybody here is that pretty much though.
Yeah.
I can't think of any actual. Can anybody in the chat think of any corporate success stories when it comes to meme culture? I agree, Woden Shot. The Burger King one wasn't a success story because the point was that everybody just got pissed at them for doing it.
Wendy's was like king of this.
Yeah, she changed the world.
That girl.
Yeah.
She sucks, but she's hilarious.
I mean, she ruled.
Yeah.
Like she made something interesting that everyone emulated her and sucked.
You see, also like these things are.
She closed the door behind
the
her.
best thing they could do. Or have you seen the pizza, like the pizza guy who makes pizzas and speaks inspirational words for Papa John's, and he just so he works for Papa John's.
Sounds great.
And he just makes inspirational videos while making pizza.
I love that.
Right, and now he's got like 400,000 followers online, so he's basically their unofficial.
Yeah.
Like he's got more followers than their whole promotional team, most likely, and he's like people are like leaving him comments like, "Oh, why are you just making pizza?" I'm like, you don't honestly believe this dude isn't capitalizing on this, do you? Right? Like the whole point is it came from a person and became about a company. Or do you remember I don't know if either of you were on the show on the day where the woman did the video where she talked about being paid to bring men on dates to Quiznos? So this lady does this
awesome.
deadpan video where she says she's paid by Quiznos to take men on first dates to Quiznos, and the date has to end good because they have to be left with a positive feeling about Quiznos.
She like puts out,
and like the whole point is like Quiznos should have hired this lady right away, but as soon as they did, it would have lost all the charm because it would have been corporatized within seconds, and it wouldn't be funny anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, she's like, and I always take men. She's like, even if the date is an hour away, I have to go to a Quiznos an hour away.
I gotta say, there are some clever ways to go about this type of marketing, and what comes to mind is those cups that girls like, Stanley, whatever.
Yeah. The adult sippy cups, yep.
Yeah, so there was a car that was a complete wreck, but there was a Stanley cup inside it. It was like completely, like perfect, fine. And then the Stanley company, they liked it so much. It was like, dude, like that's literally the best marketing that we've ever had. We're buying you a car.
Yeah.
And so that's
At least nobody got hurt, so it was like gold mine. If somebody had gotten hurt, they wouldn't have been able to run that ad.
It's the perfect story. And so when it's things like this, where it's like appreciation, like thank you for loving our product. And I always thought like the best marketing is from someone that genuinely likes the product.
Yeah.
I didn't see many articles today that were about April Fools, but these were some that you could hope were real. Yeah. Cash-strapped Disney greenlights R-rated princess reimagining. Embattled Disney CEO Bob Iger announced the rollout of a series of sexually explicit live-action films based on Disney characters. Plenty of research shows that children are being exposed to pornography at very early ages, Iger says. That being the case, Disney may as well profit from it. Well, I don't think he would phrase it quite that way.
That'd be hilarious if we did.
He's like, we need to make some money on this. Iger described the project as moving on an expedited timeline. He said the live-action remake of Snow White, which is currently in production, will be reshot to include sexually explicit scenes. That reminds me of this episode of House. You guys can drink for the people who do the PCC bingo card, where when Wilson was in college, he did like a short film for a friend who then became a porn director and like used his scenes as like interstitials in a porn.
I remember that.
Yeah. Somebody says Blow White. Yes, that's what it could be called. One more here. Firefly season 2 announced. Elliot Page to replace Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
You like Firefly?
No.
No. Oh, that could be a bit of
point of contention.
Yep. Okay.
I speak Brett.
It's not a dislike. It's a lack of like.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
I've only seen Serenity.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Firefly's good though. I like Firefly. Granted, I like it because it's easy to consume. It's only like 12 episodes. Yeah. And that's the whole point. So it says, more than 20 years after the show ended, any Firefly Season 2 news excites fans about the comeback of a cherished show that was canceled too soon. Joss Whedon produces the original series, which aired for one season on Fox 2002, which was set in the year 2517, and the show followed the exploits of Captain Malcolm Reynolds, played by Nathan Fillion, and his crew aboard the Serenity, of course, as you said. The title was a little bit of a clickbait lie. And there's been more and more articles going around about Elliot Page lately, like her just looking unhealthy.
Yep.
Have you noticed that?
Yep.
Like an outpouring of those types of coverage right now. So.
You mean they's looking unhealthy,
yes,
Brett?
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
So I applaud Musk for having his boomer April Fool's joke as he is becoming boomer dad on social media. All right. Let's go ahead and finish these super chats then. I want to make sure that we get through all of them. I just didn't want to leave anybody out. It's always harder to read these when Mary is not here.
He's been more effective lately in his like darkly comedic takes on actual serious issues.
Yeah.
I've been like, oh man, that was kind of brutal. I like it.
I don't know.
But like him trying to be funny doesn't usually.
Pat the plumber says, since Wesley is going to be filling in for Bert while he films Airborne 2, let's be sure to spell his name right. They spelled your name Weslee.
Incorrect.
No. Airborne 2 would be amazing, though. Actually, no, never mind. They shouldn't make it. Airborne is a classic.
What's Airborne?
It was like a rollerblading movie from 1986. It's really a love story more than anything. One of Jack Black's earliest roles. Like
Jack Black?
It was like the first thing he's ever in. Yeah.
Rollerblading?
Yep.
Was he thin?
He was pretty thin back then.
Whoa.
Yeah, he wasn't very big back then. Corey Anderson, no Mary, no happiness. Well, I'm apologizing, man. You're not happy. That's not much I can do about that. Sorry. Shane H. Wilder says, Brett, you don't have to go on IRL for me to judge you. That is true, but more people judge you when you're on IRL.
Nice.
Ben Tomsky says, Chair's thoughts on Lizzo. Get her off of me. That is a fair point. That is a fair point.
Oh, Chair.
All right. Corey Anderson says, ScarJo is one of the most beautiful women to ever live. To call her mid is factually dishonest.
True.
Is factual dishonest, but is factually dishonest. Yeah. Well, also, like, then therein madness lies. Where the hell do you go from there? Then you just, like, every girl you bring home and they're like, mid.
No, she's mid, so they're gruesome.
Yeah, like, oh, why are you dating this absolute troll? When it's really just a normal-looking woman who's beautiful in her own right, but she's just, if Scarlett Johansson is mid, then everybody else is just a troglodyte.
I think it's because there's a phrase on the internet now that's like every man wants their lovable mid.
That's kind of... Oh, we could turn this into a culture war argument, but no woman would put up with their own lovable mid.
What's your body count?
What's your body count?
Say it.
Yeah, exactly.
No one will ever love you.
Is that true? Does every woman... Yeah, and yes, to the chat, Short Bus Bully says Seth Green was great in it. He was. Seth Green was also in Airborne back then.
No
Seth
idea.
Green and Jack
You don't
Black.
know
Like,
Seth Green?
No, Airborne.
but I'm saying in the
yeah.
infancy of their acting careers. Like right around that time when Seth Green was in like the second episode ever of the X-Files.
Oh.
He
He was also in It.
Yep.
Around that time.
All right, got a couple more here.
90? Can't remember.
Jake Martin says, these people are on to nothing, reading into it. Don't know who's talking about it, but thank you, Jake.
But I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for the money.
I don't know who you're talking about, but I agree.
Corey Anderson says, the rock thing is a non-issue. Every man that has daughters has a tea party or played dress up. It's almost mandatory. People are dumb.
Correct.
Yep. Well, I mean, then that's what it is, right? Like back in the day, you would only take criticism from people in your circle. Now you're not even taking. Now you're taking criticism from people who are just not in your circle, but also don't know what it's like to raise a kid, right? So, one more here. We got a couple more here.
Criticism is usually unconstructive unless it's me to Lex Friedman.
What is your criticism of Lex Friedman?
So much.
Oh my God.
So much.
How much time do you have?
I hate his soul.
Who else
is my biggest
Is
criticism.
there anybody you hate more than him? We were
I
talking
don't think
about this
so.
the other day, and I was like,
I don't think so.
he came up when we were talking about Andrew Huberman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the Lex Friedman meme with Andrew Huberman? 6 girlfriends. That's so much love. I hate him.
It's a lot of women to love.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. DCNC says, help with funding your transition, Brett. You're so stunning and brave.
Woo.
Well, I'm working on it. The only problem is then I'll have to shave more regularly. Can't stand
You don't
it.
have to.
You don't have to.
I can't stand it. If I take the hormones, I won't have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just be a lady with a beard.
Yep. Bearded lady.
All right.
You are a lady with a beard.
Corey Anderson says, ScarJo is hot, but she is no Mary Morgan. I'll let her know you said that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll let her know you said that.
Moving along.
Ben Domsky says, all this mid BS is coming from wimpy guys who get rejected and call the girl ugly as they walk away butthurt. I would argue that they're the ones who don't have the courage to ask in the first place.
There we go.
Right?
I would argue they're the ones that they're like Gaston and they just stare at themselves jerking off in the mirror.
Okay. Maybe all of them.
Let me see. Where were we? Mr. Anderson says, we all have varying tastes. Some of us aren't into glam gals. Give me the redneck noodling chick any day of the week.
Oh, dude,
Hannah
I
Barron.
stand that country bumpkin so hard.
Hannah Barron.
She is gorgeous.
Yep, she is. Good. Pat the Plumber says, I can do this all day. Sydney Sweeney. Well, I can do this all day was from Civil War. You really don't like Civil War? Look, I'm not saying it was great, but I don't think
It
it
was
was
good.
horrible.
I don't think it was good.
You
I
know,
think it
it's-
had great moments for sure. I
Okay.
just don't think it was a very well constructed movie.
Okay, so I will say that I think that there was actually a greater story that just never got told.
I would
Meaning
agree.
that like the actual political discourse around the idea of just because we can doesn't mean we should, and just because we have, you know what I'm saying? Like one side says that we can only go in if the government says so, and the other side says we can't go in. I can't not go in. I have to help when I see the need for help. That's a fantastic discussion,
Yes.
right? And they could have leaned more into it, and they did a little bit in the beginning. But how much is there really supposed to be of that in a Marvel movie?
I'll say,
It has great moments. I just think it's poorly constructed. That's it.
All right.
Okay, I like it.
Whereas I think Winter Soldier is perfectly constructed.
Yeah, it's just a good movie, that one.
It's funny.
Hail Hydra.
I was talking about this is one of those reasons I would love to be able to do like watch alongs so that I could give my thoughts while I'm watching these movies. And I'm listening to Sam Wilson talk about coming home from war, and he's talking to Cap about it. So here's this man who's in his 30s. I mean, I'm assuming Sam Wilson would be in his 30s in the 2020s, 2010s. And then you have Captain America, who's like 93.
Yeah.
So you get a white guy who's 93, and you've got Sam Wilson from the modern age. And they're not talking about what divides them. They're not talking about what makes them different. Mm-hmm. They're talking about what they relate to, what brings them together, what they can connect to one another with. Mm-hmm. And this is their first encounter together at all. Yeah. And then you hear the discourse in which Nick Fury is talking about his granddad coming home every night from his job working as an elevator technician, mm-hmm. Running elevators. Granddad loved people, but he didn't trust them much. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm hearing that stuff like, this is fantastic dialogue. Mm-hmm. Whoever wrote this could have wrote this for a regular movie. This didn't have to be for a Marvel film. And then it makes the stupidity of what they did to Fury later even more infuriating. It really does. Like, I'm watching that scene where he says, the last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye. And then I think about him losing an eye to a cat, mm-hmm. for a LOL so random feminist joke. And then you wonder why people hate your shit now. Mm-hmm. Like, you took perfectly amazing, serious characters and turned them all into laughing stocks for the sake of all your films having one tone.
Mm-hmm. That's what I said about the Robert Downey Jr. syndrome.
Yeah, but even when the scene where they're using the battering ram to get him out of the SUV, that's a masterclass in tension building, mm-hmm. as it destroys the stability of the window. And he's trying to get them out of there. And then he tells the AI system to wait, to not shoot until the integrity of the window is down to 1%, which shows how smart Fury actually is. All of these little moments, which would just be overlooked now because they don't know how to write anything anymore. Yep. It's sad.
Everybody being Robert Downey Jr. in a Marvel movie is the same as every company being funny on Twitter. Yeah. It's like, if they're all doing it, yeah, who cares?
All right.
That's not special anymore.
DC&C says being cynical about companies doing April Fool's jokes was cool like 5 years ago, man.
Things get old. I don't know how you want me to justify. Like, it gets annoying.
What the hell do you want me to do about it? Like, all right.
I will scream at the clouds. I don't care.
DC&C says hide the post-it notes, Dano.
The post-it notes?
Oh, right.
When you assaulted me?
I assaulted Dane on stream by hitting him in the face with a post-it note one day.
That's funny.
Lawsuit pending. I need $100,000 to...
He's going to sue. He will not be silenced, and he will not sign an NDA. Crisis Kang, Rhaegar Targaryen says, when everyone is mid, no one is mid. That is true.
True.
That is true. And when everyone is stunning and brave, no one is stunning and brave.
Mm-hmm.
Shane H. Wilder says, even though the show is canceled, I'll see you guys tomorrow, even if it is in my mind from my padded cell. Yes. DC&C says, nice stripes, Dano. Your wife helped you pick out that number?
No, your whore mother did.
Oh. Fight.
She's good at two things, being a whore and picking striped shirts. Yep. As you can see.
Corey Anderson says, Wesley, how did you know Taylor was the one? I'm going to put the single camera on you so that you can give a deep and meaningful
Put some music on.
Do you want my April Fool's answer or my real answer?
We want the real answer.
What do you mean the April Fool's answer?
I don't know. You put me on the spot like this. I don't know. I'm too put on the spot.
Okay, give the April Fool's answer.
The April Fool's answer?
Said by Taylor.
I'm not ready for this.
Sorry, guys. You put him on the spot. Yep. He's not ready for it. One more here from DC&C. Dano, def, not mid.
Yeah.
You're not, buddy.
Thank you. I am below.
All right, guys. Before we go, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already, or resubscribe if my April Fool's joke made you unsubscribe for the channel. I would understand, but I would ask humbly that you please resubscribe because we will be back, of course, with another episode tomorrow. Dane, my friend, let everyone know where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at DaneFont, and now I shall spell that out for you. DaneFont.
Perfect. All right, my friend, Wesley.
You can find me in Dane Font's replies.
You really can.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, guys. If you'd like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific, not when we're not getting canceled, of course. And if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. If you want to listen to the audio version of this podcast, we are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. Today's episode will be up tonight. We will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys. Bye.
Bye.